right, this is Miller from Mordant Rhed. I'm here and I'm gonna see you at the Tampa Morgue, and I'm gonna sodomize you with the Tampa Morgue, motherfucker!
Yo, this is Oppressor from Lord Humongous, and I'm gonna watch Rhevok from Mordant Rhed sodomize you with the Tampa Morgue.
Greetings from the Humongous, the Lord Humongous, the warrior of the wasteland, the Ayatollah of rock and roller.
What's up? This is Tony, and you're listening to the Tampa Morgue Season 3, Episode 138. And back in his studio, deep in the bowels of Tampa Bay, Florida, Mr. Ed Webb. Welcome back, Mr. Webb.
Mr. Anderson, it feels fucking great to be back. What is going on?
Doing good, man. Back in the morgue, and we opened the show with greetings from the Humongous, Just Walk Away, from Lord Humongous' 2023 full-length titled Raped by the Nukes, and we'll be joined by Lord Humongous vocalist, Oppressor, and Mordant Rhed frontman, Rhevok, in about 20 minutes. Again, Ed, this is Rhevok's third appearance on the show. He was here October 25th, episode 111, and episode 84 in April of 2025.
I guess he's closing in on Count Duvall, you know?
Yeah, man. We like Rhevok. He's a friend of the show. It's always good to have him on here. He always pops on every few months, so we're looking forward to talk to him. We've never spoken to Oppressor before from Lord Humongous, but we talked about having him on the last time we had Rhevok on, episode 111, because I know they've been trying to get the split out. The split's coming out this week, actually Friday, which is tomorrow. If you're listening to this, the day this is coming out, they're doing a whole live stream, which we'll talk to them about here in about, like I said, 20 minutes or so. But Ed, man, first of all, dude, how nice is it to be back in Tampa?
Words cannot describe. I love I love playing music. I love doing the live gig. Everything else that goes in between when you're on tour sucks. From the food to the stupid bus to the coffin I was sleeping in.
And as everybody knows, the band, everyone got along. I've talked to Ed the whole tour. Me and Ed, obviously, we talk off the show. So when he says the bus, he just means being on a bus, because I do know that all three bands got along great.
Yeah, I'm talking about the physical bus, not the overall experience on the bus. I'm talking about this has no people involved. If I was riding on the bus by myself, it would still fucking suck. So you know what I mean? What I mean is the driving, the way. I mean, it's like I've never had to sleep like I was in a washing machine, because that's what it feels like. You're going back and forth, and it's just until you dealt with it, it's indescribable. Not to mention the fact that for some reason our side of the bus was always fucking hot, and it just was miserable, man. It made for a miserable time as for that experience, but show wise, aside from a couple of dud, venues that kind of were the fucking Pink Whale.
I did see photos of the Pink Whale.
Fucking motherfucking bathroom.
Yeah, CBGB style right there with that bathroom.
CBGBs, I'd lick the toilets. That's how fucking, the difference was. But yeah, aside from stuff like that, I mean, the shows went off great, got along with all the other bands, the Biocancer guys, the Reject the Sickness guys, and the Deadwood guys who dropped off after 2 weeks. They only were able to do 2 weeks with us. But it was a very eclectic show because it wasn't all death metal. Everybody had a different style. Biocancer or thrash, Reject the Sickness are kind of I don't know how you describe them, but they're definitely not straight death metal. They're just different. And Deadwood was more of if I had to put my finger on it, like a Meshuggah style, low tuned but killer, very very killer. At first when I first saw them, I was like, oh, what is this? But then after watching them, I was like, wow, these guys they're good at what they do. Definitely killer. So yeah, it was a great experience, man.
And you were praising, the sound girl you guys had. I don't,
Ivy,
sound man.
Ivy fucking killed it. After my last experience that I had, she, even though, and there's no shame in my game, I don't know where it came from, but after the first week, I started to develop a cough that I just could not get rid of. Like it was fucked up.
What's that rat virus that's going around?
Yeah, no, I didn't touch rat poop. But yeah, so I just couldn't get rid of it, dude, and it got miserable. And of course, I bought I use a nebulizer. I don't have asthma, but when I get issues with my lungs, I use a Buterol just to kill it. And I ordered one, and of course it came in Friday, and I flew out Friday. So thanks Amazon for fucking me on that, because it probably would have fixed everything, because it's a little mini travel one that would have fucking probably helped me the whole time. But it wasn't until I got to Poland I was able to get a emergency Buterol pump, which you're supposed to have a fucking a prescription for, but I walked into this pharmacy and asked the lady if she had anything for congestion, and I told her that my pump ran out because I brought the wrong one, and she's like, "Well, what do you use?" And she just gave me it, like, sold it to me. I was like, the coolest thing because that got me through the rest of the tour. But my voice went out. I told you, started going out like with 4 or 5 shows left. It was rough because I know the cough just tore my throat up, and I hate that because I already hate myself, my singing as it is, you know what I mean? Like when I hear it, and then when I hear it when I don't have my voice, I feel bad for the people who are buying tickets because I feel like I'm letting them down. But
Well, I heard nothing but, positive reports, Webb, on the monstrosity performances. Nothing but good feedback, I will say that. And now you have a week pretty much to chill with the family and stuff. I know you went to see some midget wrestling last night with the wife, and,
yeah,
which is I'm not joking, yes, Ed did go to some midget wrestling last night,
yes. They called it
and,
it was called the Dwarfinator's.
the
Um,
Dwarfinators, yes.
yeah, dude, it was a funny dude, I will tell you this, my wife was like the guy was like, "Go get some merch." So they had their little each wrestler has their own little shirt, and, 40 fucking dollars they wanted for a T-shirt. And
Maybe
I
they're
was like,
getting
"I'm
charged a
sorry."
percentage for
My
merch, I
my
don't know.
my wife was like, Do you charge that much for shirts?" I'm like, "Fuck no. Holy crap." So,
Well,
yeah, we did not buy a T-shirt.
it's funny you say that because you think about, like, and I get it, we know the how it works now with the bands getting charged fees to sell merch and stuff like that. I was just talking to a buddy about this the other day, and, you look at the shirts, I mean, when we were kids, man, we were going to shows paying probably, like, $10 a shirt. I was going to punk shows paying $5. Yeah, the design fell off in, like, 2 weeks half the time, but still, like, then it would, progress to, like, 15, right, 20, eventually,
Yep,
it seemed like a lot of money, you know? Now, man, I almost feel like if you're getting a shirt, and this is not like Kiss, I went to some Kiss shows and stuff where you're paying like fucking 50, $60 for a
yeah,
shirt, which is ridiculous. But now, man, I think if you get out for $25 a shirt, dude, you're lucky because I think the average now is about 30.
yep, yep, you're absolutely correct. But, I
Yes.
mean, you're getting a band shirt. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That this
I
is
mean, a
a
midget
it
shirt for $40, no offense,
yeah,
but
it was a little, I just couldn't just and then they had them all come to the ring, and for $5, you could get a picture with them.
now that
I'm
is
I'm
worth it, maybe.
and I'm just like, "Man, this dude, the video I got does not explain some of the shit that I saw I mean, it's been a while since I absolutely, like, laughed my ass off, and we were all just laughing so fucking hard, it was wrong. I think it was wrong. I think I'm going to hell. I'm going to hell
They're
for a
getting
lot of
paid
shit, but I
for
think I'm
that
going to
hell.
hell for that more. But
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. Yeah, this show's not gonna help you with the on Judgment Day. Again, now you got a week, then you got what? So it's Maryland Death Fest after this. You guys
yep.
are playing at can we announce this? I don't know if we can. Can we announce what time are you guys playing?
I don't know what time we play at Maryland yet. I haven't seen that.
You know Milwaukee's time? Again, if you can't
I do.
announce it.
I do. We play at 8:45. It's on their site, so it's
Okay,
not
so
anything
Milwaukee, you're
that's
playing 8:45 and still
yeah.
not sure about the Maryland Death
I'm
Fest
not
next week.
sure, but it's only this is the pre-party, so it's not like it's back and forth and a bunch of bands. I think there's only 7 bands playing on that day, 6
I know
bands.
Napalm Death, correct?
They are playing. We played with them in our first show in Europe, and I watched them, and it was definitely strange to watch them without Shane Embry playing bass. Because really, they have 0 original members at this point, like none.
That's crazy, isn't it?
So
It's getting to that time period.
it's weird, yeah. But you know, and it's also a different Napalm Death to me, like Harmony Corruption. Um, the record after that, I forget what it was called. Off the top of my head right now.
You know, it's funny
Uh,
with Harmony Corruption too, because we just had Scott Burns on last week, and I didn't mention this to Scott because we discussed so many different things. I didn't want to keep him. Scott would have stayed. Me and you've talked about this. Like he was totally chill, awesome interview, but I didn't want to take advantage of him. We spent like 2.5 hours talking, and I kind of, like I said, we actually after the interview we spoke for another hour, at least. It's funny. Harmony Corruption, they weren't happy with that record, the way it sounded when it came out, which is crazy because you look at it now. I mean, it's held up there, right?
yeah.
Uh,
Well, I'm
yeah,
even
but
talking about the way he sings more than the music. He just doesn't do that. Like, um, a lot of people don't realize, they think like when they hear Massacre or even, uh, you know, some other, there's a couple of guys, but when they all do this, hey, you know, thing, really it started with Celtic Frost, with Tom Warrior. You know, he was the one that started doing the hey, you know what I mean? But Barney was the one who took it to the next level because he was doing it through Harmony Corruption. You know, talk of unity. You know, he fucking had those guttural vocals with that. I mean, it was just a brutal record. I don't know how you couldn't like that, but
Yeah.
it's just, you know, but when I hear him sing now, he's just screaming. All he's doing is running around the stage in suspenders screaming. And it's just, I'm like, man, and they don't even play any of the old shit. It was very weird.
We all know everybody wants to hear the old stuff. We just know how it works.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, when you're a band, like, trust me, why aren't you playing this? Why aren't you playing that? Why aren't you playing this? We get screamed at, you know? And, you know, a couple things we did seemed to go over people's heads on this tour. You know, I don't want to.
Yeah, you guys were doing Bathory covers and stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, Bathory's killer. Well, we're glad to have you back, man. I know it was, even for us doing the show on the road was a little bit of a, you know, learn as you go. We had bad Wi-Fi, a few. Like I said, Ed missed the Scott Burns interview, which I know is fucking, is going to be something that's going to haunt him until hopefully maybe one day we'll possibly get Scott to come back on here if we can convince him. Like I said, I don't think that'll be a problem. Was a great guy. You know, in the last 2 months, everybody who listens, you know, you know, we're going to do the whole Tampa Morgue promo coming up here in probably about 10 minutes. Last couple of weeks, though, the last 2 months, we had Scott Burns on last week, which I think is a must listen if you're a fan of the Tampa Bay death metal bands from back in the day. A lot of those records you all have in your collection. We all do. We had Possessor and S. Bellis of Austria's Transylvania on the show recently. Jan and Marco of Germany's Witching Hour. Panzer Kampfwagen of Possession. Seb of Hell Militia. Tom of Devastator out of the UK. Chuck Billy from Testament, which is a 2-hour interview, man. And I've gotten a lot of feedback on that interview. People loved it. Chuck was awesome. We had Lead Injector from Germany, Hanna from Asagram, Slaughter and Carnivore of Germany's Cruel Force. So I saw they're looking for a drummer. They had Gigi Alex on there since the beginning, but he's leaving the band. They just announced this week. Dave and Jeff of Imprecation. Obviously, Jeff also played with the Versus Safara. But yeah, that's the last couple months, you know, and there's plenty more, which we'll discuss here in a few minutes. But Ed, we did get some mail. I'm going to read that. You know, we'll read that. Then we'll do the question we've been asking the musicians who've been coming on. We'll do that. And then we'll do the releases, and then we'll get to Rhevok and Oppressor. Talk about the upcoming split they have coming out. But first, I'm going to read this mail, man. We've been getting letters. You know, I thought this one was a cool one. It kind of hit close to home, you know, for the Tampa area. This is from Dan, and it says, just wanted to say how much I've been loving the podcast since finding it and going through old episodes. I was 12 in 1993, and my dad worked for the drummer of Judecca in Fort Myers, and he got me hooked. They did an amazing AM show back in the day on Saturdays. I moved to Tampa eventually. My older brother played in a bunch of local rock bands, Monsteros, Gatos, Freaks Rule, and Saturn V, among others. They practiced in the storage units. I spent untold gobs of money at Aces, learned a ton from Brian and John there, enjoyed the dogs Satan and Dakota, and living around the corner from the Mug from 93 to 03. Now I'm in Illinois, a dad of 3 kids, but those were magical years, and the podcast really makes me appreciate how great a time it was to be there. Anyway, the new monstrosity stomps. The podcast is really amazing, and I hope you guys keep it up. Thanks for doing it, Dan. You know, so Ed, I mean, I always appreciate those emails and messages, you know. So anybody, you know, again, you can always contact us at thetampamorgue@gmail.com or on the Instagram page. But, you know, it's always nice to hear from the listeners and especially to kind of go back into time at Tampa. You know, the band he's talking about, Judecca, I think they originally formed out of Cape Coral in 91. I know some of the lineup was Bill Smith on bass, Brent Carmeny on drums, Travis Haycook on guitar and vocals, Tom Killebrew eventually joined the band. Ed, you remember this band, Judecca?
I do. They played Tampa a bunch of times.
Yeah. They put out a bunch of releases too. Eternal Rest, which is a 1992 demo that had 4 tracks on it. They put out Scenes of an Obscure Death demo in 93. Awakened by the Stench of the Dead in 93. That was an EP that came out on Wild Rags. I mean, Wild Rags, you could do a whole show on that with Richard C. out of California and that whole label and the story behind it. they put out a split with Horror of Horrors in '94, a 7-inch out of Maryland. And if you remember that band, Ed, Antar played on that split. They also had Kevin Talley at one time playing drums for the band. Kelly from Possessed, Pessimist, Diabolic, and Death Force also played with that band at one time. In '95, Judecca put out their 1995 full length, Beyond What the Eyes Can See on Wild Rags. And then 2013, there was a comp for Judecca that came out on Dan's Crypt Records out of Spain. But I know eventually some of those guys, I think it was Brent, Travis, and Tom, also had ties to the band Death Creation. But yeah, man, I hadn't thought about Judecca. I know we played them on the show probably 2 years ago. I know we've talked about them on the show too, but I haven't thought about them in a while.
Yeah, I mean, they're just one of those bands, kind of like the old school bands from Tampa, like Burial and you know,
Fester and
Fester, all those bands, that we grew up with that just kind of you they never put out a full length, you know what I mean? Like and just hit it like I mean, even bands like Eulogy never put out a full length. It was all EP stuff. So, when the name comes up, you just go, "Oh shit. Yeah, I remember those
yeah,
guys."
yeah. What was it? Jehovah Sickness. You had
Yeah, oh
uh,
yeah.
you had them. You had fucking Vomit Spawn, which I haven't thought
Vomit
about in a
Spawn.
while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, a lot of but it's Dan, we appreciate you writing us, man. It's always good to hear from the listeners and people that really appreciate the show. And it's always cool to kind of take a trip down memory lane because, me and Ed, we obviously played a long time in Tampa and had not thought about that band in a while. But I know we've played them on the morgue and have mentioned them. So Dan, we appreciate you listening, man. Very cool. And Ed also, getting props on the monstrosity too.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, some of the reviews we've read on the road and, even J-Dog, who doesn't put shit over, put it over, which kinda blew me away.
Let's get shit going so we can get Rhevok on here and Oppressor. What do you think?
Let's do it.
So what we're going to do is what we've been doing on the show for the last couple weeks. If you listen, we always ask our guests who are on the show basically what is their favorite or what they feel is the most important record to come out of Tampa or Florida, and what is the most important band or record again to come out of Florida. And we take those answers and clip them. We don't put them on the full interview episodes with the guests. We kind of save them to sporadically put on other episodes. So that's what we've been doing. And today we're going to do Brian Kaz, the guitarist of Melting Rot. He was on the show episode 130. And so if you want to go back and listen to the full one, you could definitely go back and check that out. He was on there promoting the Infatuation with Premeditation record that came out on Hell's Headbangers, March 2026. So yeah, we asked Brian that question, and this is what he said. We'll be back on the Tampa Morgue after this. Okay, Brian, I want to ask you, man, in your opinion, what is the most important Tampa or Florida death metal or metal band in general? And what is your favorite album to come out of that area?
My favorite album is definitely Altars of Madness. To me, that is just the best, perfect death metal album. I'm honestly not, that said, I'm not a big fan of Morbid Angel overall. So it's really just that album, and I like some of the Tucker 90s albums. Most important,
Kind of a tricky one, right?
yeah. It's tough too because for me it's like I blend in all of the Morrisound bands as Tampa, even though they're not from Tampa. But I mean it's probably Death, right? Like even if I'm not the biggest Death fan, but it's like that's the band that everyone is like, this is the band,
And that was Brian Kaz, guitarist of Melting Rot. Again, if you want to go back and hear the full episode, you can go back and listen to episode 130. Yeah, and appreciate it as always. And anybody asking, yes, we still have more t-shirts, $25 plus shipping. We have many sizes. Overall, actually, in America, we pretty much got some larges, extra larges, and some bigger sizes. In Europe, we have some small up, small, medium, large, extra large, double X. Contact us and we will give you the information. So Ed, I say we do the Circle Studios promo. We'll do releases. We'll do shows, and then we'll get the guys from Mordant Rhed and Lord Humongous on here.
I'm good. Let's go.
There you go. So while we're doing this, we're going to play the Circle Studios promo, and then we're going to play some Mordant Rhed. We're going to play I Killed 3 People with a Crowbar from the Eat Pussy for Satan record that came out on Goat Throne Records, September 21st, 2024. And we'll be back on the Tampa Morgue after this.
Hello, Tampa Bay Morgue listeners. This is Joe from Circle Rehearsal Studio, Tampa Bay's rehearsal giant with 33 years of service. We know what you need to rock. Large, clean, quiet, cool, smoke-free, isolated rooms with the best gear at a musician-friendly price of $25 an hour. Professional, courteous, easygoing environment. Recently upgraded and remodeled with top-quality gear, Marshall, Ampeg, Pearl, Tampa, JBL, Yamaha, PPP, and more. We have the experience and the gear to provide you with the best possible rehearsal experience at the best price. Just completed and soon to open Circle's demo studio for your recording needs. From laying down drum tracks to complete projects, we have you covered at a musician-friendly price. Also in the work is the pro rehearsal room, freshly appointed and stocked with the best gear at nicely competitive rates. Our contact number is 727-546-8930. Our address is 10841 75th Street, Seminole, Florida, 33777. We have 7 large rehearsal rooms. Looking forward to seeing you soon. Thanks.
Welcome back to the Morgue. If you're a new listener, we appreciate you checking us out. This is episode 138. We started doing this August 5th, 2023, and we are now in season 3. In about 10 to 15 minutes, we'll be joined by Mordant Rhed vocalist Rhevok and Lord Humongous vocalist Oppressor to talk about the latest with both bands and the upcoming split, Bonded by the Bomb, that will be out this week on 12-inch vinyl. We also just played some Mordant Rhed. That was I Killed 3 People with a Crowbar off the band's 2024 record, Eat Pussy for Satan, that came out on Goat Throne Records. If you would like to contact us, us, you can email us at thetampamorgue@gmail.com or message us on the official Tampa Morgue Instagram page. The Instagram page is the best place to keep up with the latest on the show, upcoming guests, and basically anything Tampa Morgue related. And as we always say, we are in no way influencers. We are just an underground radio show that documents the history of extreme music with the artists who create it. We do no video, only audio, and we appreciate everybody who hangs out with us on the show weekly. This is episode 138. You can go back and listen to 137 previous episodes for free wherever you listen to your podcasts. On past episodes, you'll find interviews with artists like At From Hell Witch, Perversifier from Miramac, Ancestral Fog and Ex Morte and Condecency, Interceptor, Atax and Scum from the German black metal band Pest. We had Yuha on here from Death Chain, Chamber of a Light, and War Moon Lord. We had Lee Harrison on from Monstrosity, Ex Malevolent Creation, Ex Terrorizer, and Ex Midnight. He was on here for 8 hours. We broke it up with 2 episodes. If you're a Monstrosity fan, definitely a must listen. We had Yarno from Finland's Urn on here, Ex Barathrum and Graves. Have Desecrator from Destroyer 666, Sepulchre, Venefiction, and Profanation. Tony Thomas from Witch Vomit and Torture Rack. You Whore Preacher from Vomit Angel, Mask of Satan, and Witch's Hollow. Cresty Ronnie from Nasty Savage. That's a 4-hour episode, a deep dive into the history of Nasty Savage and a deep dive into the history of Tampa. We had Chris Volcano on here from Abominator, Cemetery Urn, Denouncement Pyre, Ex-Destroyer 666. That was his first audio interview ever. We had Anti on here, a.k.a. Necroterror, of Cadaveric Incubator, Ex-Torso Fuck, Ex-Sluggathor, and Satanic War Master. Sadistic Fornicator and Bassist the One of UK's Necromaniac, Rhevok from Mordant Rhed, Magnus of Norway's Aberration, Ex-Condor, Ex-Hecatomb and Ex-Mayans Hill, Simo of Finland's Flame and Ex-Adorier, Daniel Avenger of Nocturnal, Angel of Damnation, and Black Priestess Satan. We had Sergeant Salston on from Norway's Deathhammer, Eric from Goat Seam and Evil Dam, Ex-Sarum and Ex-Black Angel. We had Alessio on here from Violenter, Ex-Hobbs Angel of Death and the Mentors, Infernal and Odin of Disaster. We had Nige Rocketon from Onslaught. We had Noella of Hexea out of Texas on here. We had Lord Sabathan on from Slaughter Messiah, Heinous, Ex-Enthroned, Ex-Morbid Death, Crusher from Finland's Morgul, Yano of Anal Vomit, Necromorbid out of Italy, Norway's Heimland, Ritual Butcher of Finland's Ark Goat, John Berry of Slaughter Messiah, Ancient Rites and Nocturnal, Tony Dolan from Venom, Venom Inc. and Adamcraft, Louisma from Hemorrhage and Depopulation Department, Udo from Accept, Vincent Crowley of Acheron, Ex-Nocturnus, the Vincent Crowley Band. He's been on here a few times. Dawn of the Dead from Nunslaughter and Satanic Threat, Snowy Shaw of Merciful Fate, King Diamond and Notre Dame. We had Dallas Toller Wade from Narcotic Wasteland and Ex-Nihil on the show. We had Kyle Thomas of Ex-Order, Trouble, Ex-Floodgate, Alabama Thunder Pussy on here a few times. The last time Kyle was on, we dissected the Slaughter and the Vatican record. We had Jamie Bailey of Brodequin and Liturgy, Matt Bishop from Human Artifacts, Horrific Demise, and Ex-Levidity, Thomas of Wolfheart, Henry from God Dethroned. We had King Fowley of Deceased on October 31 on here, Beelzebub of Mystic Circle, Alan Howarth who did the music for Halloween, Escape from New York, Poltergeist, They Live, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Gremlins. We had Blaine Cook of The Accused and The Accused AD on the show, Gene from Perdition Temple, Malefic Throne, Ex-Angel Corpse, and Hexorcist, Chris Reifert from Autopsy, Abscess, Eat My Fucking Violation Wound. We had Lee Payne from Cloven Hoof on here, Ryan Waste from Municipal Waste, Bat and Vulture. We had Pooch from Raped Ape on here, Harry Quokinen from Hooded Menace, Hail Conjurer, Horse Latitudes, and Hollow Woods. We had Dave Greger of Mortal Scold, Jim and Pat of Morbid Saint, Carl Kennedy of The Rods, Paul Speckman of Master, Bill Owen of Purgatory, John Gallagher of Raven, Dave Austin of Nasty Savage was on the show, David Howard Thornton, who played Art the Clown in Terrifier 1, 2, and 3, and he'll be back in Terrifier 4 coming up next year. Lord Araman from Dark Funeral, Bobby G of Overkill, John Walker of Cancer. We had Witch Trap out of Colombia. We had Martin Missy from Protector, Phantom out of Mexico, Luciferian Rights out of Mexico, Rob from Lucifericon at Ex-Destroyer 666, Jeff Manis of Venom and Venom Inc. That is a deep dive into the history of Venom, about a 5-hour episode. And Glenn Destructor of Australia's Destructor. I just saw they've been announcing some new shows coming up. And those are just some of the interviews you'll find on the Tampa Morgue. You can go back and listen to them for free wherever you listen to your podcasts. Now we're going to do releases, then we're going to talk about shows, then we're going to get to our guests. First, we're going to start out with the Belgian death metal band Necromorphic Despair. They're releasing an EP called King of Nothing. It'll be self-released. The band's first release was a 2022 3-song EP titled Ritualized Self-Destruction. King of Nothing will be the band's 4th EP, and it'll come out on May 13th. Then we're going to go to the Italian black metal band Lorn. They're releasing an album called Searing Blood on J. Void Hanger Records. Lorn formed in 1999. First release was a split. In total, Lorn has released 1 demo, 3 splits, 1 EP, and this will be the band's 4th full length. It'll be out on May 15th. And then we're going to go to Denmark's Artillery. They're putting out an EP called Made in Hell. Artillery formed in 82. First release was the We Are the Dead demo in 83. The band has put out 10 full lengths in total. The last one they put out was in 2021. Made in Hell will have 4 tracks, 3 studio and 1 live, and that came out on the 15th. And next, we're going to mention the Colombian speed metal band Louder. They're putting out an album called Devil's Night on Fighter Records out of Spain. The 3-piece Louder formed in 2024, put out a demo in 2025. And this will be the band's debut full length. I got 2 more left, and then we'll get to shows. We're going to mention the Irish death sludge metal band Noosed. They're putting out an EP called Misery that's coming out on Road to Masochist Records. Noosed formed in 2019, put out 2 demos in the 2019. In total, Noosed has released 2 demos, 2 comps, and Misery will be the band's 5th full length. It'll have 7 tracks, and it came out on May 15th. And the last release we're going to mention is the black metal band out of Brazil, Necrolust. They're releasing a demo box set on 12-inch vinyl. It's coming out on Down with the Most High Records out of Spain. Necrolust formed in 89. They broke up in 95. They put out demos in 91, 94. There was also a compilation out in 2017 titled The Rites of Infernal Torment. This features demos, live tracks, rehearsals. Also comes with a poster, a 4-page insert. The demos box set will be out on May 19th. Also, Webb had to step away to do some storm prep. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to mention a few shows. I'm only going to mention 3. We're doing this show weekly usually, so figure, we'll mention more shows next week. But I am going to mention Thursday, May 28th at the Abbey in Orlando, Death Angel and Violence. Death Angel will be doing the whole Act 3 record. And then they're also playing Friday, May 29th at the Culture Room. Same deal. Death Angel Violence, again, the Act 3 record. And then Saturday, May 30th at the Orpheum in Tampa. And before we know it, Ed will be playing with Death Angel in Milwaukee at the Milwaukee Death Fest. So that's what I have for shows. Really bummed, man. This is a Steel Fest weekend, and I had some stuff come up. I had to go back to Tampa unexpectedly, and just some stuff threw everything out of whack. I waited way too long to book a place to stay at there, so missed it this year. But next year, it's definitely in the plans. So looking forward to that, but definitely bummed I'm not there this year. Hope everyone has a killer time. We're going to get Rhevok from Mordant Rhed and Oppressor from Lord Humongous on here now. And what we're going to do while we're getting the guys set up is we're going to play some Lord Humongous. We're going to play White Line Nightmare from the Raped by the Nukes debut album from Lord Humongous. And we'll be back with Rhevok and Oppressor on the Tampa Morgue after this track.
Their world crumbled. Cities exploded. A whirlwind of looting. A firestorm of fear. Men began to feed on men. On the roads it was a white line nightmare.
Mother
And that was Lord Humongous with the track White Line Nightmare off the band's 2023 EP, Raped by the Nukes. And we are joined by vocalist Oppressor and also Mordant Rhed vocalist Rhevok. How you guys doing?
Splendid.
Yo, thanks for having us.
No, I'm glad you guys are here, man. Rhevok, this is your third time, dude. You're like pretty much one of the regulars now. The only guy that's been on more than you is what, Ed? Count Gordeval?
I think you're correct.
Yeah, actually, I guess that's in good company, man, because I don't know. I always like coming on this podcast because, besides this, I listen to on my own all the time. And I just really, the interviews on you are always so fucking good, man. You'll do your homework, that's for sure. The first time I came on here, you were asking me shit like, what the fuck? How's he know this shit?
Yeah, we always try to kind of, not waste our guest time pretty much, if they're going to come on here and stuff like that. Cause there's 5 million podcasts now and stuff like that. And, video shows and shit. So we try to kind of not be like that, man. But Rhevok, we always like having you on. Like I said, this is your third. You came on here and twice in 2025, episode 111 and episode 84. We're glad Ed's here too, man. He's got back from the Monstrosity tour. Yesterday, right, Ed?
Yes, and I'm still out of it 100%. But hey, we don't miss a show except for Scott Burns. That's the only fucking
Ed
show I
missed Scott
missed.
Burns.
Motherfucker, dude. I'm not going there.
I know, I listened. I heard the anger.
Dude,
Yeah.
the internet was so bad. And then, of course, when you're on a bus with 3 bands, there's no quiet place at 2:30 in the morning because that's now I understand what doing this on Tony's time is because we were 6 hours ahead and we're trucking down the road and I had nowhere quiet to do it. And I'm like, better to let it fail than ruin it. So, yep.
Yeah. Burns was awesome though, man.
Yeah, of course, man. I feel like for this one, Rhevok's doing all the heavy lifting of connecting us with podcasts and all that stuff. We've sort of only done a few like interviews, a couple zines, stuff like that. We've just kind of been hanging back. But this guy as the fucking leading the charge, you kind of can't fucking go wrong,
Talk a little bit about what's going on with you guys lately with the bands and stuff like that. We're also going to talk about the upcoming split, which is finally out. Because I know last time we had you on, Rhevok, you were talking about the split, and we talked about bringing Lord Humongous on here when the split was ready. And this Friday, you guys have a stream going on where you guys are going to be getting rid of it. The Bonded by the Bomb split that's coming out between Lord Humongous and Mordant Rhed. So Friday is the big night for you guys.
Yep, we're gonna do a live stream on the Mordant Rhed YouTube channel. We used to do a lot of live streams and a lot of drunken, stupid shit happened on that. But I kind of stopped. But this one, yeah, we're bringing the live stream back. So I think this is a very important thing. And looking forward to it too, man. There's a lot of people who's been excited, been messaging me and stuff. So we're gonna be doing this. It's gonna be the release of the vinyl. Surprisingly, the vinyl was out before the fucking CD. Everybody's asking me about the CDs. So we're gonna do a separate release for CD and tape. But yeah, we're gonna get on there. Some of the guys from Mordant Rhed and then Lord Humongous is gonna be on there too. So it should be a good one. What do you say, Ayatollah of rock and roller?
Yeah, man. I think the thing that we're excited about too is I feel like for the most part, this has been the 2 bands and Jem's label who's involved too. But like, I don't know, we wanted to make a statement about this like subsection of like current U.S. extreme metal, whether it's black, thrash, death, whatever. We kind of have all of those, sort of ties. And we talk about that a lot, but I feel like it's like a good statement of like, this is something that's going on that's not exactly pigeonholed to a certain genre. So we've like really both kind of had a hand in like everything from like discussing the cover art to the gatefold and like, I don't know, both bands. I'm sure I know Lord Humongous, we feel like this is the best thing we've ever done because we had to, because we were going to be, on the opposite side of Mordant Rhed, and we're like, yeah, we actually really need to fucking make sure we hold down our side,
Yeah, hey man, we were really excited too to do this because I've had other people ask about splits. I'm like, I'm okay with that, but actually, Lord Humongous asked us, "Do you want to do a split?" I was like, "Yes." I didn't even think twice, and I said, I knew what everybody else in the band was going to say, but I asked them too immediately, yes, because everybody was already a fan of the band, and actually, we've already been, I would say friends before any of this shit happened because we were talking. Fuck, it's been like 2 years or something. I can't remember when we first started speaking, but we were bullshitting, trading music and stuff, and we all liked a lot of the same crap. And then obviously the whole fucking get up and shit. It's kind of, yeah, it's been just the perfect fit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The thing that got us together, Rhevok, I don't know if you remember, but we're doing like little sort of like liner notes for each band's like diehard edition. So I've been working on that, and I kind of typed this out, but for the listener, what kind of got us connected was I was, on YouTube at some point and I saw your channel and you did a video on Mortuary Drape, and Mortuary Drape's my favorite. If you're talking black metal or adjacent, like, it's my favorite. And I've kind of like Grateful Deaded them, like followed them been to Italy a few times to see them. And they're like that band for me. They're the only band where I like obsessively collect everything. But they get a lot of shit, especially early Mortuary Drape, for their image, because they're like, kind of wearing their mom's like purple tablecloth and all that stuff.
man,
And but he was talking about it, and he was, like really like kind of like, yeah, this band's fucking cool. They're like almost like proto Black Death. They got their own sound, and that was always my thing because I discovered them from Metal Inquisition. It was an old page, and they just did an article making fun of their image. But I looked at it and I was like, these guys look fucking cool. They look like King Diamond. And so when I heard him talking about it, I was like, I have to reach out to this dude, and that's like, that was our first contact. And I just realized at that point, it's like, we have the same ideology about bands and like, having an image and not being afraid of like sort of going a little bit over the top with it. And like, it's like old Kiss quote, people listen with their eyes, right? Some people like to deny that, but they'll deny that while they're wearing copycat corpse paint. So it's like, the thing that I always say about Mordant Rhed and about Lord Humongous is like, we strive for like school shooter instead of school drama club. There's like a subtle difference, right? It's a subtle difference, but I knew we were like of the same mindset when I saw that video. So definitely a voice I respect a lot, and our whole, our band, we're big fans of the channel and all that stuff. So,
And I have to be honest too, Rhevok, because that's how I heard of Lord Humongous, is actually, watching some Rhevok videos, man. That, totally, that's how I became familiar with the band.
Yeah, I know. Actually, speaking of that, like when we were talking, the first thing you sent me from Lord Humongous was that I think it was a White Line Theater cassette single, and that, I mean, besides the music and the music and the visuals, I loved it. But I loved how you did the actual DIY old school demo cassette with the fold out, right up and all that shit. I was like, man, these guys, they get it. They get the old school love to it, and plus everybody in Lord Humongous, they're not a bunch of young punks either. Everybody's older, so like I think we all kind of see the same wavelength, if you will.
Yeah. I think that's actually, I put that in my liner notes. I was like, it comes from being old, comes from that point where you're like, you go to a record store and you don't get to hear what you're listening to, so you pick up like Sacrilege and Gorgoroth, and there's a point where you get these two things that aren't exactly the same, but you're like, yeah, it makes sense to me. And I think that creates the kind of music that both of us are trying to make, where it's like, we're okay with bringing in other influences. I mean, like, I hear so much like crust and like G.G. Allen shit in your stuff and death metal. And, but one thing that I do definitely have to say is like, as far as like you guys hearing about us through him, like that's the reason why he's the only person we thank in our liner notes of our first one, because he was the first guy that put it out there. And and now with old J-Dog fucking picking up, getting behind both bands, like it's almost just like super grateful for those two, because we're not super vocal as far as like getting out there and like doing like interviews and stuff, but like I feel like it's certainly related to the amount of providence or respect that Rhevok has on his his musical taste, that we're where we're at, I think. And
Yeah. And jump in.
me and Ed don't watch too much of the, there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of different, you turn on YouTube, there's this guy has this opinion about this guy has this opinion about that. But Revok is the channel that I will watch when I, and that's, yeah, I've learned about, there's several bands, Rev, that I've learned through your channel, man. So, it's definitely a cool thing what you do. And the cool thing about it is you're involved. You're not just some dude sitting at home who's not, you know, it's kind of like this show. Me and Ed have been in bands our whole lives. You guys are in bands. It's much different when you hear it from people who actually have done this, for as long as we've all done it, because none of us are young,
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely, for me, that's one thing, with your band. I mean, Mordant Rhed's killer, and then you fly a flag for a lot of bands that a lot of people don't talk about, which is cool.
Well, it kind of goes back to the old analogy. You watch a boxing match and you hear the announcer is the one motherfucker that talks like announcing saying so-so should be doing this and that, and the motherfucker's never been in the ring in his life versus a guy sitting there that's actually been in the ring and fought. That's kind of what you're saying, Tony. It's like, it's not just some motherfucker just sitting in his basement crying and never going out. We all go out to shows and support shit, and I like to promote other bands and stuff if I like it. I mean, I'm not gonna if I don't like the shit, I'm not gonna promote it. But helping out, it's just like and to quote Vincent Crowley, how he said that these new YouTube channels are the new zines. We used to have the paper zines, but now it's digital, so it's pretty much the same thing. And trying to bring something new to it, man, and to jump off what Oppressor was saying there, yeah, we like all kinds of shit. I like crust punk. I like fucking New York hardcore, straight edge hardcore, grindcore, death metal, all that shit. It's just, I mean, that's why I don't, when somebody tells me, hey man, I fucking love DSI, but I fucking hate Blind Flag. To me, that doesn't comprehend in my mind. I don't understand that because I've always liked all that shit. All of it. That's never been like, I'm more of a death metal guy, more of black metal. Like, I remember when I first started doing this channel, I was talking about a lot of black metal, and people thought that I was just a black metal guy. Like, nah, I like a lot more stuff than just that.
You're very open-minded. Yeah, you could definitely, even from watching one episode, you kind of see that. You don't really shit on much. Even if you don't like it, you kind of say, hey, it's just not my thing.
That's true. I'm not into doing that because there's no point, because even if it's some shitty ass new metal band, that stuff disgusts me. It sounds like fucking garbage, but hey, somebody likes it. So if somebody likes it, that's their deal. Not me. I hate this shit, but I'm not gonna get on there and just rag on it because it doesn't affect me. If somebody likes it, crap, they like it.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. And and on this show we've had, like I said, Revok's been on here twice. We've talked about his background a little bit. On Oppressor, there's a couple things I want to ask you that we always ask our guests, because I think it'll kind of set up a little bit, of where you come from and stuff. But so you're right now you're in Pittsburgh.
I'm in West Virginia. We have some members from Pittsburgh, some from West Virginia. Our like recording studio that our drummer owns and our kind of home base is Pittsburgh, just because West Virginia is remote-ish. So our where I live is about an hour and 20 minutes from Pittsburgh. So it ends up being the place we play, outside of our one club here. And so we were like, we got members in both, but if we're gonna pick one that we spend the most time in, we're a Pittsburgh band essentially. But I mean, really, we've done probably more shows outside of Pittsburgh and West Virginia than we have there at all. So
Little unknown fact, little that we never talk about on the show, Ed, but Ed knows I spent 3 years in West Virginia, up in Paw Paw, West Virginia, over like
man,
up on Eagle Mountain, man. Very short period of life, but I usually don't talk about that on the show. Born in Jersey, but my dad worked for the Washington Redskins for a small period of time, and as you know, in that West Virginia is like, I don't know if it's still like that, but it was a big Washington Redskin, or Commanders now, whatever they call it, but. So are you born now? Were you born in Pittsburgh, or were you actually born in West Virginia?
No, I was born in Cleveland and spent time basically there up until my like mid-teens. And so we moved out. My dad was a factory worker. He worked at the Ford plant. So lots of people from West Virginia, Pittsburgh, all these different places, right? They're looking for factory work. And when he retired, they were like, we're going to move back to West Virginia where their family was. So I ended up here as a teenager, remote in the middle of a holler, just that's when you start the process of digging into horror films and extreme metal and punk. And like, I think that side of, growing up in a place like this, you kind of end up just having to go find stuff on your own, and I noticed there's a lot of people into this kind of stuff here, like especially horror movies and all that stuff. It's just like you got nothing to do other than go down to the local video store and rent, Texas Chainsaw 2 and whatever, so
That's what I hate to say. That's one thing I definitely remember is going from Jersey to there for a couple years was a big culture shock of like, just not the local store is like about 20 minutes away sometimes in some areas where we were. And are you born 82, 83?
81, yeah.
81. Okay, so around that area. So okay, you're about a little bit younger than us, but pretty much the same time period, man. Were you raised in a house too, like that had a lot of music around you? And do you remember like, the first bands that really caught your attention as a kid? Like obviously pre Slayer, pre what
Yeah.
The
Yeah, yeah.
young-
What my situation was the luckiest situation of all, which is I had an older brother. He was like 16 years older than me. And he's the reason at 8 years old I got a copy of like Kiss Killers and Kiss Crazy Nights and a copy of Hank Williams Jr. some cassette tape, and I just like held all three of them and stared at it, and I fucking chucked Hank Williams Jr. under my bed and never did listen to it. And it was like that was the very moment when not only was it like I'm gonna start a band, but also like what's it gonna look like? And that's been everything I've done musically has had that sort of mentality, So yeah, that was it. That was a game changer for me. And of course, if you like Kiss, then the first time you see, a fucking, Dark Funeral record at a record store, you're gonna go like, what is that? Right. Like, and then you get it and it's like it has the aesthetic that I know, but it opens up a whole other world. And Discover the Misfits, probably the first band outside of like stuff like Kiss that really changed my life, and Ramones, all that stuff. Same with as Rhevok, like punk's a big influence because it was accessible because I could play it, and that's the one that you can sort of jump that hurdle early and get your chops up, and but it was always like it was always metal for me in amongst that stuff. But you kind of listen. I think people around our age listen to stuff more like Indivisible than having to just stick with a specific genre,
Exactly. Yeah. And what was the first show you went to when you were a kid or a teen?
It would be Kiss. Yeah, it was Kiss
Yeah.
on the reunion tour. And
Okay.
I was my parents had taken me to church camp, and I I had told all the people there, I was like, look, like I'm here for a few days, but I'm going to see Kiss. And like it became the whole church camp's mission. We can't let this guy go see the
Knights in
Knights in
Satan
Satan
service.
service.
Yeah.
And so then I had the youth pastors being like, yo, they were all pulling me aside. They were like, do you know that KISS stands for? And I'd be like, let me guess. And they'd be like, the kids in Satan service. And I was like, oh, the other guy said knights. And it was like, the other guy
Sounded
said
cool.
king.
Yeah.
And so it turned out like my brother, comes to pick me up from church camp, and they're like, don't go. God told me last night that if you go, your soul's going to be lost. I mean, it was really my little church camp girlfriend was begging me, and I had just gotten a handhold. So I was like, oh man, this is
What you
whatever.
You got a hand?
What is
Well,
this girl's number?
it's very common at church camp that after the evening service all the hand jobs happen. So I knew I could choose that life, Jesus and pussy, or I could go and follow rock and roll. And I was like, I don't care if I go to hell right now, like I have to go see Ace Frehley.
Yeah, and if you think about it, like, you look at Kiss lyrics, right, as you get older. I mean, back then, you think they're much tougher, and again, I was a huge Kiss fan, you look at the lyrics and they're some of the worst lyrics. And
Ah,
some of those,
terrible.
I mean, just absolutely
Yeah.
like, I even now I'm like, man, it sounded much different when I was a kid. But yeah, no, I was a Kiss guy too, and they did have a big impression because we saw that. I remember the first time I saw the makeup, you just didn't know what it was like not a religious experience, but, you know, it was like, "What the fuck is this?" There's, like,
Yeah.
all these other bands, and then there's, you know, and I love Alice Cooper, big Alice Cooper fan, but this was like a whole pack of guys that look like this, you know?
Yeah. And after you see something like that, every other band has something to live up to, and I guess the strength of this is like props to Anthrax because I had a guy in my neighborhood who was a little older and he wanted my Peter Criss solo cassette and I hated it anyway.
Yeah, it's the
You
worst
know,
one. I
he
hate
was
to
like dying for it. And
That's
so
a
he
miss-
goes like,
yeah.
"Oh, it is the worst one." And he goes,
Yeah.
"I'll trade you this band for it. They're called Anthrax." And I was like, "Well, that looks cooler than this sounds." So I traded it, and it was like Anthrax was one of the first bands that I was like, yeah, they don't really they look exactly like, you know, my older brother looks, right? With like the fucking high tops and shit. But I was like, but their riffs are fucking lethal. And that was what migrated me over to like metal was Among the Living and just having my mind blown because what my brain tells me that like Hotter Than Hell is fucking heavy, but you listen to it, you're like, no, it's not. But Anthrax, Among the Living, those riffs, even with Joey's, you know, kind of wimpy vocals, which I do love, but wimpy vocals, it stands up. You know, it can stand up to like just looking like normal guys and sounding fucking, you know.
And I love Fistful too.
Yeah,
That's a great record. I want to ask you some more stuff about Lord Humongous and the formation and stuff. And I'm gonna, like I said earlier, we're gonna play some songs from the split that we're gonna talk about at the end of the show and stuff. So I am gonna plug some songs in through here. I'm gonna plug Mordant Rhed's Nameless God Ritual from the split, which the split's titled "Bonded by the Bomb." Rhevok, anything you can tell us about this track before I play this?
Bonded by the bomb, man.
Bonded by the Bomb.
But yeah, in fact, actually, we made a music video for this fucking song and posted it months ago. But yeah, just this is more of a fast, fuck, I don't know. Like we call ourselves black metal, but I mean some of this shit sounds like death metal and grindcore and shit. And I feel like this song right here is pretty much straight to the point, and it's that's why we chose this as one of the first singles to release.
I'm gonna play that now. This is Mordant Rhed with Nameless God Ritual from Bonded by the Bomb for the split that's coming out. We're gonna talk about that in a little bit. We're back on the Tampa Morgue after this.
Burning across, lost in rival, making friends.
Oppressor. So we're talking about, Lord Humongous. I know you do the vocals in that band. Now, do you play any instruments? I know you're involved with other bands, and I don't know what you want to share tonight because I know you kind of
Yeah.
keep the Lord Humongous characters away, kind of separate from what you guys do, which is totally cool. So you don't have to mention anything you don't want to. You can mention what you want. But
Yeah.
did you start out playing any instruments, and do you play any instruments?
Yeah, I started out playing guitar, and I jumped into the Johnny Ramone school of learning down picking, and had no uh, motivation or desire to learn anything that would, I tried to play Sodom's. I was like, I'm gonna learn the entire like M16, Sodom, and I made it like one song, and I was like, no, I don't have the attention span for this. But yeah, it's play guitar. I've played guitar in lots of other punk bands, lots of other like projects as well. And yeah, so that's what I started out with. Always wanted to be a vocalist, and always have. I've always been the singer in all of the bands I've worked with, and with our with Lord Humongous, I made a demo playing guitar with fake drums back in 2012, and it was
That was
my
White Line, right?
goal. It was Just Walk Away. It was Just Walk
Okay.
Away, and I wanted to start it. And so, at that point, I was trying to find other people to do it with, and I just kept running into I can't find a drummer that can do it. I can't find guitarists that can do it, and so it ended up being this thing that I never stopped working on in my head, but, deviated for other things, got in other bands, went on tour, and, just have been enjoying that. But yeah, and it really for Lord Humongous, it's not so much trying to keep it secret with the other bands. Cause I had a promoter, we did that Mortician show in Buffalo, or sorry, Rochester. And the promoter was like, "Yo, is it cool if I mention this?" He's like, "I think people think it's cool." And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "We're not trying to keep it secret." I said, "Really, it's just that you want to build something based on the strength of that." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's like if you're in a band that does a lot, it's cool to bring in those people, but I also like the idea of having something that can just like stand on its own. And so that's kind of the idea behind that. It's just like um, and a lot of members of, Humongous are in other bands or have been in other
Punk
bands and
bands
stuff.
too, mostly, right?
Yeah, yeah, lots of punk bands. We've got, our guitar player's been in some metal bands. Um, but yeah, I think everybody probably, has been in, like we're all older, so we've all had a lot of other projects and still have other projects going on too.
What age was your first band?
For me, it was probably about 2004. Um to like 2006 was when I started making music. You call it a band, but never played
Yeah.
shows. And we're living in West Virginia. You're just like doing all kinds of DIY stuff, and like I was really into stuff like because I had shitty sound equipment. I was like, I can do something that sounds like the Misfits or the Mummies or something like that. And so you call it a band, but what are you really doing other than just releasing like DIY records? But to me, that was a band.
You
So,
mentioned punk too. Were you into like Poison Idea, like the Dwarves? I mean, obviously Black
yeah,
Flag and stuff like that. Like those kind of.
definitely. Yeah, mostly Ramones centered stuff, Lillingtons, Queers. I always like that approach that like the Queers as a band. I always point out they're like they sound like the Beach Boys, but also they might stab you and shoot up heroin in
Yeah.
your bathroom. It's like a nice dichotomy. But yeah, lots of Misfits growing up. I like Poison Idea, all that stuff. I like TSOL and like early those first two Vandals records.
Vandals, Cancer Slug.
We Cancer Slug I didn't discover till way later, and have played some shows with them.
Yeah,
And
Alex and
I think we a couple of years back we played a show with them. And yeah, definitely like it. I feel like it's in the lineage of something very similar to like if the Misfits had not turned into what they turned into.
yeah,
You know?
definitely, definitely.
Which in its own right, at the height of that was its own level of inspirational and striking, but just not in the same way. It's like
Yeah.
whatever.
No, it makes total sense. And what age were you when you first played your first show? Like, you don't have to mention the band, but what age were you first stepped on stage for the first time?
God, I would say probably 18, 19. It was later, like I always felt like I got into the scene later and had started in a band, and Too Many Chiefs, and I started to realize this band was going in a direction that I didn't want to go. So I was like, I don't want my first show to be with a band that I don't represent. So I kind of jumped ship and then started my own stuff. And yeah, yeah. So it was like later. Yeah, definitely later than most, I would say.
And with Lord Humongous, you guys are I know the first EP or the first record, which we played a track of earlier, was influenced by 3 records basically. A Go Penis record from 2016, Apocalypse War, right?
Right.
Bonded by
Yeah.
Blood from Exodus, and Sodom, Code Red,
Yeah.
correct?
Code Red. Yeah. And it was just kind of like boxing yourself in to, sometimes that's viewed as like, we don't want to box ourselves in. But I think in certain aspects, if you can just say like, this is the blueprint and the archetype for like the statement we're trying to make, I think that's beneficial. And especially with something like what we're trying to do, which we kept calling black period, war period thrash. Like, I think we all decided that you can't add something to war metal and have it be war metal, right? So you can't, like, if you go add thrash to Blasphemy, it's not war metal, right? But you can take a little Blasphemy and put it in the middle of your Exodus or your Sodom Code Red. And we just did a lot of discussions, or like a lot of thinking about what the lineage of US black thrash would look like. And to me, it's different than like my favorite, non-US black thrash band would be Aura Noir. And there's a
Oh, yeah.
lot of Scandinavian influence, right? If you listen to Aura Noir, they don't have mosh parts. They're not big on like big like solos, right? But for me, US black thrash is the first Exodus record, in that it's a little tongue in cheek. It's about Satan a whole bunch, even though it's like cartoon Satan, right? Like Paul Bailoff's not really worshiping the devil, but and then there's killer solos, there's mosh parts. And when you look at that lineage, it's Exodus discovered Discharge, injected that into thrash metal. Their demo comes out, and maybe I'm delusional on this one, but you can see a subtle shift where it's like everything gets a little more moshy, everything gets a little. And I know their demo came out later, you know what I mean? Or their record came out kind of late for thrash, but I feel like the pathway in our head was from Discharge to Exodus, from Exodus to Profanatica, and we were just like, how can we exist somewhere in the middle of that and try to make that? That's what we consider like U.S. black thrash, and how it's different than maybe other black thrash, So
And were you a fan of, like, some of the US black metal, the Versus and, like, the Black Witcheries and stuff? Were you a
yeah,
fan of those bands?
yeah, definitely Black Witchery. I know probably the stuff that lives for me as like quintessential black thrash has a little bit more to do with, like, I think about the first, like the first couple Sodom records, even though there's like, arguably, is it still have a black influence to it? But I think so, and I like stuff like Nocturnal, and there's some cool bands that like really like carry that black thrash banner. Gospel of the Horns is the band I'm trying to think of,
Yeah.
but what all of that stuff feels like it's missing to me, that is like inherent in the thrash that I like, is like big solos and mosh parts. And I think that's because that's not their scene, right? Like that's very true to what it is. But if we were going to try and make a black thrash record and it sounded like, whatever, if it sounded like Nocturnal, which I think they're like German, right? They have those
Yeah.
German roots. It's just different. So we
Daniel
really
Bent.
wanted to be like, if Exodus is the archetype for thrash for us as a band, then we need lots of Exodus mixed in with our war and our black, So
No. That makes total sense, man. And I'm gonna like I said, I'm gonna keep on plugging in songs. We're gonna plug one, Lord Humongous song in here now from the split, Pig Killer, which I know you guys did a video for, which I'll mention too. But anything you could tell us about this track?
I'll say the anecdote I'll give about this song is when we were on tour and we were going out to play shows with Mordant Rhed. On our trip, I had picked up a copy of Sardonic Witchery's record, and for some reason the title's escaping me, but it's got the red cover and he's on the horse and whatever that shit is called, and it's a masterpiece, and it's like so specifically serious about its content that it's like it's Niflheim levels of like, this guy's not fucking around, right? And I've learned that through meeting King Dimagorgon from that band. But we were driving around and we kept listening to this song where he just keeps going. He takes multiple breaks in the song to go, ooh. I said, ooh. And we're dying. We're like, dude, this is fucking bold. And so then when we recorded the record, I was like, fucking around, and I did it. And then I was like, dude, I'm gonna leave it on there and I'm gonna message this dude and be like, dude, I made an homage to you on our record because we love your fucking record so much. And he was like, I sent it to him and he was like, fucking just responded like, bastard of hell, and sent me a fucking picture of him holding an axe. I was like, this guy's awesome. And then later on I went, actually, let's like get him to sing on our record too. So on the other track I sent you, there's a reason I sent these 2 tracks, is because I later on just went like, bro, you have to come on here and do this. But this song really is like, we were like giving a very like solid nod to like Sardonic Witchery, because his record got us through a whole tour, and he's a literal fucking character. Like if him and Hellbutcher, from Niflheim ever hung out, I think the apocalypse would happen. And maybe they have. I don't know.
I think they just played last night, Witchery. I just saw like live photos going up. Like it's funny you bring up that band.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna play some Lord Humongous now. This is Pig Killer from the split Bonded by the Bomb, and we'll be back on the Tampa Morgue with the Oppressor and Rhevok from Mordant Rhed after this track.
Yeah!
Absolute equality achieved now only a death. I know he is right. All gods will stick to it. Then we're the faithful around the war.
And that was Lord Humongous with Pig Killer. And just a couple more things on Lord Humongous, man. Then we'll talk about the split a little bit. But
all he's got to say is, "I said, I don't know."
There you go.
Yo, and this is the best part about that shit. On our page, people like to fight with me because I always like get into arguments about people that comment on our stuff because it's like I love it. I love it so much. And some guy messaged, I posted a video of us playing it, and he goes, "Weakest ooh in the game." And I was like, motherfucker, and he had a bowl cut. So I saw that in his profile picture, and I was like, "You have a bowl cut, bro." And he just sent me like a surprised face and disappeared. And I'm like, I think that's becoming something that happens on our page is we just fucking argue with people, and then they'll it's just part of how that page works now. But yeah, weakest ooh in the game.
Shit like that, or just some idiots don't even go out to do anything. They just sit on there and talk shit. That's what it usually is.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, ask Ed when they put out the new Monstrosity record, which is a crushing record, man. Ed, how many comments did you get? Like, just here's a bunch of killer comments. Like, oh, great, but you always get the fucking jackasses in there.
I say it every time. They can put it in print, but they will never ever say it to your fucking face.
Yeah,
because they know that I would fucking spike their head, fucking pile drive them right into the ground. But they won't. They won't. They never do.
And imagine sitting at your computer and talking shit on Monstrosity. Imagine the balls of that, right? It's like, bro, what the fuck?
Well, there were a couple things that were said that
Doppel grinder was kind of funny though.
Yeah, well, but you know what, dude? All the George shit, I've said it before. If you're comparing me to George, okay, awesome. You know, he's a legend, dude. So what do you think that's going to hurt my fucking feelings? Or when they compare me to, talked about Cam when I did the other thing, it's like, okay, a legend. So what? What do you think that bothers me? Like, it doesn't. It really doesn't. It's just words. But when they said some of the shit like the obesity and fucking this and that, and I'm like, yeah, you say that on there, but would you dare say that to any of our faces?
Of course,
especially like a Mark Van Erp. Say that to Mark Van Erp, bro. Go ahead. I dare you. Because you wouldn't. And but that's that. Yeah. Comment. But my wife was like, why do you read that shit? I said, because I laugh. Because a lot of times some of the shit is funny, like the doppelganger and or doppelgrinder. What was the other one? Fucking,
there was a couple.
It's funny. And then, like J-Dog loves to clickbait people with his fucking shit. And he said the shit about that Lee was talking shit about Pantera, which if you listen to it, he wasn't. Right, and the one dude says he looks like he ate Pantera. And Lee Lee laughed, dude. We were laughing about it. And he's like, I said, that don't bother you? He goes, dude, if it didn't get written, that you wouldn't, like, a lot of times the bad comments give you better press.
Yeah.
Honestly, because people go, oh, what's this about? And then they see it and they fucking, well.
The approach to all that shit is, because I think about this, if I was 16 years old and they had all this shit back then, I would have been on there talking all kinds of shit too as a 16-year-old. But if it's a grown-ass man doing that, though, they need their fucking ass whipped. Seriously.
Yeah, it's
what you want, Ed. Fucking pussies that'll never say shit in your face. Say, hey, man, you got a fucking problem? Let's have a conversation in person. Oh, no, man. Or this would respond. It's fucking pussy shit, man.
Well, I promise you, they're probably the same ones coming up to you at the show telling you how awesome it was. Because it's a double standard of fucking fake ass pussies, man. But
that's what made me laugh, because I remember when that first video was released for the Monstrosity record. I was all excited. I watched the video. I said, man, this is fucking great, man. It's like the old stuff, man. And look at the comments and see a couple of dumbasses. I'm like, these fucking cocksuckers in there, man. Like, fuck you, man.
Well, my other theory is. Yeah, my other theory is, cool, bro. Let me see what you put out. Show me your band, Because if
Yeah,
you're so
exactly.
awesome and you're writing such a great opinionated pieces here, send me what you got so I can review your shit. But because they're just nobodies. They're just nobodies that
Yep.
just have no life and they're upset that somebody else is doing something better than them.
Well, not to sound
100%.
old, but back when we were kids, man, you didn't have this shit. There was nowhere to like type messages. You had to like go to
Yeah,
the show and
no.
talk to someone to the face. It was totally like totally different world, man. You might get your name written on a wall somewhere, like "fuck this guy," but like that's about it, man. There was no, now everything is comments, and I mean, like I said, even with the monstrosity when they're putting out those new videos, and there's like shitloads, thousands of comments. There's always like four idiots. It's pretty much the same comment, and you
Yeah.
can't even worry about that.
When we did the J-Dog interview, we were getting ready to go on stage, and so he was like, "Yo, let's get this interview before you guys go up." So we were like all in our gear, right? Like sitting there, and
I saw this interview in
actually,
the back room.
yeah, we were planning on just doing the interview like normal. I was gonna put on the Humongous mask, right? Just as because that's kind of like the icon of the band or whatever, like we're not like in character, right? But that's not like a thing we do. We're just whatever. But so he did this interview, and the comment section was the J-Dog's comment section. I mean, it just, if you go to like a Mordant Rhed comment section versus J-Dog, it's different because that comment section thrives on
Oh, it's what
that
they
shit.
do,
And
yeah.
yeah, it's what they do.
Like the Jerry
And
Springer
so
show of metal going on.
yeah, man. And so we were dying. Like there were so many good ones, and we took those, and we took a guy's face who was like, he said something like, because we were talking shit on Zetro, really just because it was like, we knew that it would could get people riled up, but he goes, the Lord Zetro will have his way with you. So we put his face on the back of the shirt, and it says Bubbles says, and then we just took all our favorite comments, which were our bass player wears a gas mask, because someone goes like, "Is that a fucking stormtrooper?" And we were like, "Oh, that goes on there." And we just kind of put those on the back of the shirt, and people fucking loved it. We sold lots of that shirt because it's just
Brilliant, man. Brilliant.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
you
man,
remember
it's,
we were talking about the dwarves earlier. You remember when you listen to all the dwarves recordings, the old records and stuff, you'd always hear they would always clip the fans being like, "Fuck the dwarves suck," and it would always be part of their campaign, which I mean, is the and of course we have to mention. I know, and again, I know Oppressor. You guys are not even though there's definitely the Mad Max, 79 influence going on there with what the look of the character and stuff like that, or the mask and everything. But you guys are not obviously 100% a Mad Max band. But man, what do you want to say about that? Like, it's just the image you took that kind of, as I've heard you say before, you had the Vic Rattleheads, you had the Eddies, you had whatever, and this was kind of like something that you guys kind of figured could be a symbol for Lord Humongous.
Yeah, man. I just, because it was in 2012, right, when we came up with it. It was really there wasn't Fury Road, and there wasn't all that stuff. So it was kind of like one of those things, when you hear that fucking second Immortal record where they play the Imperial March, and you hear it today, and you're like, oh yeah, but at that point it was just like, oh yeah, it's the fucking bad guy from that sci-fi movie, right? It wasn't what it is. It's Darth Vader, but we kind of did the same thing where it was like, yeah, Lord Humongous sounds like a fucking thrash metal band name, and that mask is crazy, so we can use that on our album cover and stuff, and it really was no more thought out than that. And then we've stolen a lot of stuff from that since then. We've added stuff, and we usually take our song names from there, but not so much our lyrics.
Or the
But
themes, like the Knight Rider theme and stuff like that.
yeah. So the new record doesn't have any Mad Max. Even the song Pig Killer is not about the character with the pig killer in his chest. We just use that song, and we're talking about rounding up people of all religious beliefs and putting them in concentration camps and slaughtering them like pigs. It's not about.
I've seen the video. I was going to say, I didn't know what I could say about the video, but I have seen the video. Yeah, it comes out Friday also, right, with the split that we'll talk about.
That's
for the Pig Killer video. Is that
right tomorrow?
It'll be probably by the time this is posted.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yes, and when you guys did that first record, the Rape by the Nukes, you guys had only been together for 4 or 5 months before you recorded that?
Yeah, it was real quick. Once we found out that we could, that it was possible, we were pushing really hard because it was we wanted to get it done, and like we were writing, myself and our guitar player, we're writing like a song every time we got together, and after it was all done, our bass player was like, "Bro, you almost like killed everybody," because I was just like, "No, we have to do this, and we have to get in the studio," and, like it was just because it just felt like if we didn't do it, we weren't going to get it done because we have other stuff going on, and you just got to go with the momentum, So yeah, real quick, but I mean, when you've been working on something in your head since 2012, it's like you're ready to do it immediately as soon as you get the chance. That's the thing there.
When was the first official show for you, Lord Humongous?
I'm honestly not sure. It was 2023, and probably near the end of the year, but I honestly don't even remember where it was or when it was. It might have been Indiana, but it's like kind of all a blur because we were just pushing, like just trying to get out there. Because I knew if we had a show, they would practice and be nervous about it. It's easy when you're just the guy like singing because you can be like, yeah, man, it's fine. Just work on that fucking solo. But I know it's not. It's not that.
You guys were on an Iowa label, Gems.
Yeah, we our other bands that we are in, the most active bands called the Jasons. We're kind of like the Dwarves and Screeching Weasel.
Okay, I know the Jasons. Yeah, so okay.
Yeah, so we did a tour with a band on Jim's label, a black metal band called Sidon, and we just did a tour because we like that band, and he is as much of a troll as almost Sidon, the singer, is as much of a secret troll as anyone else in a very brilliant way. So he's always fighting in comment sections, and so are the Jasons. And we were like, yeah, let's like hook up with this dude and do like a punk rock black metal tour. And then we became friends with Gems, and like I just asked him, I was like, yo, where do you know any thrash labels that would want to put out something like this? And he was just like, I'll put it out like sight unseen. He's like, I know your work ethic, so I know it'll be all right, and so we just kind of worked on it with that.
So with Mordant Rhed, Rhevok, the last show you guys did, that was the March 22nd show at the Hell's Heroes.
Yeah, we did that, but the last, if you want to call it a show, we did a video shoot in somebody's garage, and we crammed a bunch of people in the garage, and we played a show and just shot footage for a video. But that was a few weeks ago. Did you see the music video for that Filth Walker?
Yes, okay. So I was going to ask you if that was in the rehearsal room, and I saw with the guy with the gas mask on and stuff. Yeah.
You see, that we were talking about shooting a video. We were talking about, should we just rent out a venue and just tell everybody to come out? And then our bass player said, no, let's just do it in my fucking garage. I said, all right. So normally you shoot a music video, you just lip sync to it. He said, no, fuck that. We're going to play live. And I was like, and he lives in a neighborhood. Like, are you fucking serious? All right. So we invited a bunch of people over, and we literally played like a 4 or 5 song little set, and people tore his garage all up. And unfortunately, didn't get it on the camera. Somebody fell backwards and fucked that whole drum set all up. And that was the last kind of show we did.
And with Humongous, you guys played what? March 28th was the last show you guys did? March also?
Yeah, I think so. I'm really bad with dates. Our last show was that Rotting in Rochester that was part of James Von Sin. He's the guy, he's in Rotten UK, had booked us. And that's where we did our Mortician show. It was them, us, Spider, our friends Wolfenstein, and some other bands. So yeah, I think that was our last one. And then here in 2 weeks, the weekend of like the 24th, we were doing 3 days with us, Wolfenstein, and as like a West Virginia black metal band called Pentecost. It was super fucking cool. And we kind of like, and a band called Septic Idols from Pittsburgh. And we tried to like kind of curate that little run just with bands that we like want to hang out with and stuff. So.
And what is the lineup of Lord Humongous now with the current lineup? Because you guys have only went through like one member change, correct?
Yeah, we've had people fill in for us. Our bass player broke his both wrists, and so we were kind of fucked on that. And but right now the lineup is aside from myself on vocals. We had 3 guitarists, 1 just left, and we were really trying to move forward and figure out how to integrate 3 guitars. Because we have 3 tracks on the record, and we're like, so maybe we can do more of that, like kind of like Time Ghoul, something like that. But it didn't last long enough for us to really explore it. So currently we've got 2 guitars, bass player, drummer, singer sort of structure, and everybody has ridiculous long-winded stage names that I could or could not make you go through, but yeah.
And Rhevok, how about you, man? What's the latest lineup with? It's the same as last time you were probably here with Nocturnal Penetrator and those guys. But what is the official Mordant Rhed lineup?
Nocturnal Penetrator and there was all the ugly one on guitars, and we have a drummer. What the fuck's he call himself? Invictus, yeah. And I have to say, since he's come in the band, it's made a huge difference because before that, we would get fill-in drummers and then we would record. I would play the drums and then go back and record. It's made a big difference because for one, he's a way better drummer than I am, but 2, I can actually practice the vocals in the actual rehearsal studio, not just, before I would just play drums and record it, then I would go back and do the vocals afterwards. Now I get to actually rehearse it, so I feel like overall, the drums sound better and the vocals sound better as well. So yeah, it's been good.
I'm gonna play another track from Mordant Rhed off of the split. I'm gonna play "Darkness Consumed Its Keep." And what can you tell us about this track, Rhevok?
It's funny, that song the guitarist wrote that song. He would always refer to it as the Terrorizer song because the riff kind of sounds like Terrorizer, but the song itself really doesn't sound like it. And it almost sounds like a war metal type song actually. And I started because we first started doing Mordant Rhed, it was more the high pitched screech shit, and then I don't know, I was purposely keeping the lows out of it, but then I did that side project. The fuck's it called? Clawhammer Covens, pure war metal. Did a bunch of lows on that. I was like, fuck it, let's just put lows in Mordant Rhed too. And then this particular song, Darkness Consumed Its Keep, it pretty much has a lot of fucking deep growls and has a very war metal-esque. And this is actually the opening track of our side of the record.
Nice. I'm going to play that now. This is Mordant Rhed with Darkness Consumes Its Keep, and we'll be back on the Tampa Morgue after this. That was Mordant Rhed with Darkness Consumes Its Keep. And I wanted to mention too with the Lord Humongous, when you guys first started out, you guys kind of made a rule when you're doing shows that you're going to kind of try to play with bands that kind of fit the same bill as you. You're not looking to play with the metalcore bands and stuff. And is this something that you guys are still carrying on to this day?
Yeah. We've luckily have been able to really stick with that, other than maybe 1 or 2 shows in the beginning, but like is as a band that exists, in Pittsburgh, right? There are a lot of bands there that you're gonna play with where it's gonna be like Lord Humongous up there, like fucking Blasphemy and Niflheim, and then Hockey Jersey or whatever, and it just doesn't make sense for that. So it's been rough because being from of a mindset of wanting to tour and play all the time and accept shows and like, does it, drive, 10 hours, it's fine, right? We'll play for whatever. It sounds cool. We really had to not do that to maintain that sort of thing. Like we legitimately have turned down shows because it's like nothing against this band, but it doesn't make sense for us. And, we're trying to do a lot of that on, sort of with shows that we book and trying to make it something that's like, if we're on a show, you can know that you're kind of going to get the same thing, right? And that doesn't mean only thrash or whatever, but it's just like, that sort of black death thrash extreme metal thing. Cause like I'm not the kind of person who wants to go see, I like a lot of different music, but I don't want to go see an eclectic show. It's why some festivals, it's like the Dwarves, right? Cool band, other band toured with the Dwarves, like the Dwarves, but seeing the Dwarves and Pig Destroyer to me is not a show that I want to see. I want to see them separate, but there's, for me, like, I want to go to like a curated show, that's why I like Maryland Death Fest, because they have a lot of different bands, but they make sure the black metal bands are in one room, and the death metal bands or the grind bands where everybody's running around with their fucking floaties and inflatable dicks and shit. You got your little extreme room, and it's like, it's nice to sample that stuff, but I also like curated things. So and it's not about like elitism or anything, like, it's just like, it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense.
No, you're right, and it's weird with the Dwarves, actually, you're talking about them, I followed them since, back in they were, Suburban Nightmare at first, Blag's, I think Blag has got a fucking amazing voice. They have changed a lot, though. If you go back to, like, Blood, Guts, Pussy to now, it's a whole different, even young and good looking, you started seeing the change, back then.
Yeah.
But, now it's totally different, again, great band, but they started mixing. I remember I have the split with Blood Duster they did. They started doing a bunch of, I've seen them touring with, like, the Municipal Waste, I wanna say, they toured with, I believe. But, last time I saw them was with the Queers, actually. I know you mentioned the Queers earlier in Orlando.
Yeah.
But great band, man. I always thought, especially with the Dwarves, I felt like they were more metal at one time, but then they weren't even a metal band, but just that was a band that the show would last 15 minutes. There'd always be a fight, and who knows what else would happen at those shows, It was definitely,
Speaking of the Dwarves, I would totally love to recover Blood, Guts, Pussy, just re-record the whole thing, just do a cover, play 2 minutes long, just play a show and play that, and that's it.
Yeah.
Because we talked about going down the road doing like a covers album. I was like, man, let's just record that whole album. Just do that one.
It adds, especially some of those old recordings, because they were really rough. Some of those old Dwarves recordings, killer tunes. But some really rough takes on it. And with Lord Humongous, your guys' first tour was the 2025 Disciples of the Bomb tour.
I don't know if maybe we had because we were promoting
9
our
dates, right? I think.
Yeah, we headed out to Texas. Originally, we had gotten booked for one show. It was like a festival, fell through, but we had, kind of had other shows booked around it, and we wanted to play with Mordant Rhed, and we were really going to release this split way earlier, but we ran into our drummer had a house fire, so he couldn't finish our side of it, and like it was supposed to be out for that tour. We delusionally thought it was going to happen, but it ended up working out because we put out like a pre-release cassette and toured up there and made contact, with Rhevok and those guys, and Wolf Skull, and just some cool bands, and Texas was awesome, and but yeah, that was our first one, and it was kind of just like testing to see what it would be like to do Lord Humongous as like a tour, because the stuff we wear is really fucking heavy, and every part of that is really taxing. So we're like, can we do that for 9 days in a row without, struggling? And it's cool to find out that we could. And so it was all right. Mostly really good shows towards Texas.
Texas, I can attest to that.
Yeah.
And that was your guys' first time playing together, right, Rhevok? You guys and Lord Humongous, was those 2 shows you guys did? Because you guys did Houston and San Antonio?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Both good shows.
Nice.
Yeah, those were definitely the best shows of that tour. On the way back, we had booked some stuff. I think we played with Lurking Corpses, on our way back, but we had even booked some like Monday shows where you're like, this thing's going to be completely, dead, but we're just like, we just want to see what it's like to play and sort of make our way down there. And you know, it was definitely cool. Because you know, from someone who likes to tour and play shows, like that's kind of how you test it. You know, you just want to see if you can, and see how that feels. And one quick thing I was gonna say, back to Blag Dahlia for a second. When our other band had went out with them, this will tell you a little bit about what it's like to hang out, to tour with Blag Dahlia. You never know if that dude knows who you are, likes you, hates you, doesn't know what's going on. The last day of our tour that we did with, it was them and the Queer. So maybe, I don't know, maybe it was one of the shows that you were at, but he came up to us and he goes, "Hey," and I'm like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Hey man, sorry I've been like, you know, kind of hanging out on my own. I was losing my voice and just it was in my head." And he goes, "But you guys are cool." And he pulls out his wallet really slowly and he goes, "And but I really like what you're doing, you know." And I said, he goes, "So here's 200 on me." And he pulled out $200 and he gives it to me. And I wanted to be grateful, but I just kept looking at him in the back of my mind. I'm like, this motherfucker went and got our guarantee. And now he's giving it to me as a joke. And I was like, "Thanks, man." So I was like, "Cool." He walked out and I immediately went to the sound guy or whatever. And I was like, "Did the fucking dwarves guy come grab our thing?" And he's like, "Oh no, here it is." And so then I ran back. I was like, "Yo, Blag." I was like, "I'm sorry I acted weird." I was like, "I was pretty sure you were just pulling like a hilarious dick move and giving me my own guarantee." And he goes, "Oh man, I'm an asshole, but I'm not that big of an asshole."
Well, that was the
Like,
thing about Blag. You know, I've met Blag, and back in the day, you thought you had this image of this. I remember watching old interviews with him, and I remember a kid just getting ready to interview him, and the kid was having trouble interviewing him. And Blag's like, "Come on, man, get it over with. We're fucking walking." And I was like,
Yes.
"God damn, dude!" You might have seen that. It was him and Vag Moore.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I was just like, "Holy fuck, dude!" You know, and you would watch these videos, and Blag would be booting people in the face. You know, he takes his microphone and fucking whacks people in the head with it and shit like that. But again, man, I always thought they were killer. And again, I've actually read interviews with him where I believe that he was kind of told, "Hey, we could market you if you weren't singing about like you know what you're singing about." And he's just like,
Yes.
"No, man, it's the dwarves." Like,
Yeah.
I think he actually did. If I might be. I think I'm correct actually, but I'll find out if I'm not in comments. I'm sure, but he did a SpongeBob SquarePants song. Yeah, yeah, under a different name I had heard. So yeah, I have to check the legitimacy. But I did hear that before. But
I think
yeah,
you're correct. I think you
the
are.
Krabby Patty, or everybody's doing the
Yes.
some shit
Yes.
like this. Yeah, it's you know. Yeah, I didn't know you tore. So the Jasons, well, you got. I know this band, man. So I didn't. So you were okay. So now it makes sense a little bit more. Okay.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah. Been around for a long time. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, and, you know, so that does make sense.
And we built our archetype on the Ramones and the Dwarves and the Queers. So kind of same deal. Box yourself in and, you know, play in that sandbox for a while. And, you know, then we converged. There are some members that we share, and that's kind of what happened where we're like, oh, we have people that can like really play guitar and like really play drums now. It's like, well, maybe we could, you know, make this actual thing happen that we've been trying to do for a long time. So
That's crazy. I didn't realize
not
that
a
was
side project by any means, though.
yeah. No, it makes I know the Jasons. That makes total sense now.
Yeah.
You know, and so before we talk about the split, you know, and everything that's going on, I'm gonna play some more Lord Humongous. I'm gonna play the track Toxic Blasphemy. And what can you tell us about this, Oppressor?
That's guest vocals on that middle kind of spoken word part from old King Demogorgon, Bastard of Hell. So proud about that. When myself and Cherno Bill, our guitar player, sat down, he and I were we kind of sat down and worked on these, and it was really like I would be like, "Yo, play something that sounds like Aura Noir," and he'd be like, "Play one riff," and I'd be like, "That's good, don't fucking mess with it," and we'd put it down. And that's what we did for this main riff. And I was like, we need an Aura Noir riff. And so this is definitely Aura Noir worship. And yeah, just we wanted to kind of push a little further into maybe the black and the war just a little bit more on this record. So I think this was a pretty good attempt at doing that. And again, you can't add to war metal, because if you add to war metal, it's no longer war metal. But you can inject a little archgoat or a little, you know, blasphemy into thrash metal, and I think it works all right.
Remember, it's I'm gold.
I'm gonna play some Lord Humongous. I'm gonna play Toxic Blasphemy, and we'll be back on the Tampa Morgue after this track. And that was Lord Humongous with Toxic Blasphemy. And guys, before we talk about the split, I do want to, speaking of both of your guys' bands, Rhevok, we'll start with you, man. So besides this split, have you guys been working on new material for the follow-up to Eat Pussy for Satan? Or, what is what's going on in the Mordant Rhed camp behind the scenes?
Interesting you say that. We've already got 5 new songs already recorded, already done. And it's for a release later in the year, but we're not going to announce that until at that time. But we've got a lot of projects we're working on, not just releases, but video and stuff. And that's one thing like try to do with the band is, stay relevant, keep doing new stuff. And again, I'm not going to keep putting out just releases after releases. That doesn't make any sense because I don't want to be like a Gothic Leaves and have 1,000 releases, but there's other stuff we have planned on doing, as far as visually videos and stuff, just to stay relevant. But we've already recorded some new stuff, and it's probably later in the year sometime. But right now we're just focusing on the split. But it's just funny how, as we keep writing new stuff, we won't purposely say, okay, I want to sound like Satanic War Master, or I want to sound like Agnostic Front. It just whatever comes out, and some of these new songs sound almost like fucking grindcore mixed with crust and disrupt shit, and then some rock and roll stuff. So it just, and also what I think with the split with our 2 bands, what I like about it is I don't feel like we sound alike, but we all like the same shit though, and it all comes out because I definitely don't think that if you listen to Mordant Rhed and Lord Humongous, you couldn't say, oh, it just sounds like all the same shit. No, it sounds like 2 different bands, but you can tell we all like the old stuff, but put our own mix into it. But yeah, that's what's going on. But as far as a full-length or anything, we're just focusing on this split for right now, but we do have some other shit in the works.
Nice, man. And how about you, Oppressor, with Lord Humongous?
We have right now enough songs to do something with, and the question that we're at is, do we do a couple more and do a full length, or do we do like a one-sided LP or a 7-inch, or I think in my head it's like you put out a full length and then you do like a middle record, right? Like if you'll notice on our the color scheme that we have going on, like our first record's like this black, white, red classic, like Blasphemy, right? Kind of imagery. And then we did the rehearsal demo, which is the same record live, and that's white. And so this split is the back to the standard color. So the next one needs to be like, to me, like a transitional record, rather it's probably not a rehearsal demo, but maybe some sort of like we've talked about doing something that's more like an EP. We have a song called Corpus Colossus. And so we were like, let's name the next 3 songs about those 3 like Mad Max brothers and do like that, but we just keep going back and forth. It's either going to be a split or like a 7-inch kind of thing or a full length, but I think we're leaning towards like a kind of like a middle release, because for us, this release with Mordant Rhed is like, it has more weight to it and more importance for us than like a full length, right? Like it is like in that spot for us, it's like, this is the stuff that we're most proud of. And I want people to, this to be one of those splits that people talk about when you just like pull out, oh yeah, man, but have you heard the fucking songs on the split, right? Like this is like put a lot of work into it. So yeah, stuff planned, but we don't know yet what it's going to be.
You know, it's weird times now because, you know, we were kids, you would get an album, you listen to the whole album, you know, the whole deal. You get you know, now everyone's attention span. When I hear songs that I grew up on, I can hear the next song what's supposed to come on from that
Yeah.
record. Like, I can
Yes.
hear that next drum beat or that next whatever the fuck it is. Like, and I anticipate it to come on, even though, you know, it may not, because we all know that pattern that we all grew up
Yeah.
on. And it's a different world now. And I see a lot of bands now, a lot of bands we talked, especially the younger bands, they always say, "I don't know if we're gonna do full lengths, we might just do this or that or this or that." Um, you know, but I think that, you know, what do you guys think about that? Isn't it it's kind of it does come into I always think, "Hey, do full lengths if you want, EPs are cool, whatever," but it's always cool to do full lengths. I don't think that should ever be voided because I know a lot of bands are like, you know, we'll just release one single." But I don't know, man. How important do you guys think it is still that bands do full lengths? Or at least EPs, you know, not just singles.
Yeah, we definitely want to do another full length. That's for sure. But I just want to kind of spread it out a little bit. 'Cause I just don't want to. I, I want to release stuff, but then again, I don't want to be like a Gothic Leaves. And I love a Gothic Leaves, but you know, after 100 releases, you're like, I don't need any more shit. So we try to spread it out. But we do want to do a full length. And actually, if you kind of go back with a Oppressor said to kind of piggyback about how he was looking at this split as like a full length, like a important record. It is. That's another reason why we wanted to do a split with them because not only do we like the band and we like the visuals, but also they're kind of the same way we are. It's all grassroots. We pretty much did everything. I mean, all this shit is grassroots, no label help. It was all built up by demos and sending shit out and talking to people and stuff. So that goes a long way versus if we did a split with some black metal band that doesn't do shit. They put out 5 great songs, but they don't do anything to promote. Like, what the fuck's the point of that, you know? So
Yeah.
that's why, like, they have the same work ethic we do because we're always thinking about what can we do next? What, you know, something new, you know, keep it moving, keep it moving. It's not just okay, let's just throw it against the wall and see what happens. No, only time things happen is when you fucking make it happen, man. Just like they say, hey man, you can't if there's not a party, you'll fucking find a party, you know?
And you guys
Yeah.
mentioned that with the split too, guys. You guys did a tape split, right?
Yeah.
Together, which was like the demo tracks, a live track. It was like what 5 tracks each for you guys?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, we knew the record wasn't coming out. We come to that realization, and so we were like, let's show people the building blocks, which is cool because if you get this record and then you want to go like, oh, I want to know like the building blocks, you kind of have to hunt it down because it's only on cassette. And
Razor
kind of like
Records, right?
what's that?
Razor Records it came out of out on Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah. So it was Razorblade tapes. He's the guy that pressed it, but it was kind of just like they all from a Pittsburgh thrash band called Razorblade. Awesome fucking band. But yeah, he just pressed it. It wasn't really on a label. It was just something we got together and split the funds and kind of released. And that's where our favorite Paul Bailoff wearing a Blasphemy t-shirt image comes from.
Yeah,
And
saw that.
we've used that a lot, but
I know.
yeah,
I don't even have a copy. I don't even have a personal copy of that. We sold out of that shit, and I realized I misnumbered it on Bandcamp, and somebody ordered it. Oh fuck! So I had to give them mine.
Oh damn.
yeah, that's I fall into that category a lot with
So,
stuff
man,
where I'm like,
it's definitely cool collectors because I know you guys are 7 different versions of that one song, and on ours there's demo songs. We also did Agnostic Front, Victim and Pain cover, and some live shit. So it's different stuff that's on the split. That's for sure.
yeah.
And with the
And I
split-
think with the thing about with a lot of splits, the worry is I don't want the person who's buying record to go, oh, it's just the split. It's not, it's like, oh, just leftover songs. No, we like got together and went like, let's make a split together and let's like put our images on like together on the cover and let's put our images because like those bands, Agothicles, right? Who's this random band on there? Or for me, it's Embalming Theater. I love Embalming Theater, but
Yeah.
they've done split with a million bands. And you kind of go, they just had these songs, but we wrote specifically for this, like our 4 songs, including, and then there were none to cover, we did like a concept, like a story going all the way through about a cult of like bomb worshiping people who, like the neutron, you keep seeing in our lyrics, like we keep talking about the neutron messiah. So it's like people who see the second coming as like must happen, and then the fallout from the radiation creates like mutants that end up becoming the Antichrist and all this stuff. So there's like, we did a whole through line with our stuff, so it's from beginning to end one story specifically for this record. So, and I know it was the same thing for those guys. They were like, no, I mean, because you look at their side, they, you know, some bands that would be a full length. Like, there's a lot of songs on there. So
yeah, it's funny. We did 7 songs, but it's 15 minutes.
Well, yeah, it's like what, 58-second songs. I mean, I kind of, you know, I mean, I guess it's not as bad as like the old MOD, the Ruptured Nuptials and stuff like that, which is like 14 seconds. But you guys got the shorter tunes on that.
No, it's just like we never purposely say, "Hey, let's make a song 5 minutes or let's make it 2." It's just write it, and what feels good, it just sounds right. Because there are some songs when they're 10 minutes long, it works. But I feel the way our shit is, it doesn't need to be 10 minutes long. 2 minutes, minute and a half, 3 minutes maybe. That's it. Move on to the next one. And when you approach writing songs, we try to write songs, you know, that'll stay in your head, not just, okay, let's blast through the whole fucking song and sound brutal as fuck. No, I want it to be like something in your head for you. Remember it, you know? And I don't know, people can maybe agree or disagree, but that's what we try to do. Try to write songs, you know, that are memorable versus just a whole blur of listening to blasting all the way through, which I don't get me wrong. I love that shit. I do. There's some fucking albums I love, like the first Hate Eternal. It's just blasting through the whole fucking thing. I love that album, but I can't remember what song is versus one versus a third one, you know? So just try to do a little something different.
I think the cool thing with the two bands is I believe Oppressor was saying earlier, the both, you know, it's, you know, sometimes you would get splits back in the day, you kind of be disappointed on one side. I think both bands make sense together, and I do agree the bands are not the same, but I think if you appreciate Mordant Rhed, you're probably going to appreciate Lord Humongous too.
Yeah.
It works. You know, and I mean, even with the artwork, you know, you mentioned it was Paul Anderson, right, who did the Raped by the Nukes cover and does the split cover too. So, you know, where did you find Paul? And yeah, I mean, killer artwork, man. You know, I think artwork's always important. And did you guys give them your ideas? Like, you know, obviously the Raped by the Nukes cover has the you know, the vag on there and stuff. You know, what was the concept going on with
that's he lives here in West Virginia. He has a tattoo studio called Graven Hand Tattoos, and he's done a lot of my stuff. He did my Sodom guy and I have a big immortal tattoo, so he did that, and like we just connected on being black metal fans, and we've gone to a lot of shows together. And so when we started this, I was like, you know, for Lord Humongous, will you just be like the Chris Moyen? Will you be like our guy? Because we want something like hand drawn and nasty. And I had originally gotten another artist to do the Raped by the Nukes cover, and then I was like, it could be nastier. So then I convinced Paul to do it. He takes a while. He's not going to get you your thing like by tomorrow, but you know, it's quality. And so then with this one, we were like, well, we have a giant earth with a giant pussy on it. Like, how do we top it? And he's like, I've got it covered. So it was the forced cesarean's birth on the cover. And we already know, sneak peek, our next real full length is going to be called Abort. And it's just going to be Humongous with a coat hanger stuck in the earth, ripping out thousands of like bodies. You know? So yeah, he's just, I want him, I think his talent and his skill, like I just want more people to know that he exists as that guy outside of just being a tattoo artist, you know? So, and then when we wanted to celebrate the union of the two bands, we got Rock Sadistic to do our gatefold
from Sadistic Execution.
Yeah.
He did a logo for you guys too, Oppressor?
He did a new logo. We got Warhead Art, the guy that did the Primitive Warfare, that kind of cool striking image. He did a shirt for us, and then we got Rock to do the logo. So we're gonna do like a collaboration between those guys because they're both cool artists that we like. So, and then trying to get Paul and another cool artist to work together. If we could get Paul and Chris Moyen, that'd be the vibe.
Yeah. We talk about Moyen a lot on this show. He comes up.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, and you got how many copies of this vinyl are you guys putting out?
300 total.
300 total.
Yeah. So in this live stream release date on the 15th. It's going to be the record only, but we're going to do CD and tape, which a lot of motherfuckers is surprised me. Hey, you doing CDs? I'm hearing a lot of people asking. So the CDs are coming. It's all, the layout's done. Everything's done. We just got to get that taken care of. And actually, the layouts on the CD and the cassettes are a little different than what's in the LP. So it's not just the same shit exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cool to we had kind of had the record done, and then Rhevok took kind of and just sort of went and fully did like his layout and his version for these next two. So you get almost like a different art approach, and it's like worth, as you know, music collectors, it's like kind of I want to see every version. So that's kind of, you know, I don't know, for if either of our bands are that band for you, like, you know, certain bands for me are like that, where I want everyone, Mortuary Drape being one, right? Like, I need all the
We have the difference. I mean, the in the LP gatefold, there's going to be the rock.
I saw that. Looks awesome, that rock artwork in there.
But then that artwork is not in the CD or tape. The inside of that is actually a big group picture we took in San Antonio with everybody all fucking spiked up and shit. So there's a different picture. There's some different photos and stuff inside the tape and CD. So it's different. Same cup though.
Yeah, no,
and we're gonna. I don't know if you said it, Rhevok, but we're gonna do on our live stream. That's when everything goes live. But both bands have like Die Hard Edition, where you get the record and a bunch of extra stuff that we've kind of coordinated and put together, and they're gonna be pretty limited. So it's good. I keep telling him, it's like the Jerry Lee Lewis telethon, right? You got to get it while it's live, because when we're done, they're gonna be gone. They're gonna be gone.
Yeah. So what are you gonna? What's the extras gonna be in yours?
We're doing a for ourselves, like for our vests, we got new like these big back patches and then a front side patch. So we're putting those in there, and then like we have a like a zine that we made up that's got all the lyrics, because on the actual record we didn't get to put our lyrics in because we used our side of the insert for just a big image. So lyrics, and then I wrote all about how, you know, we met with, you know, how we got connected with Rhevok, and lyric sheets, and just like kind of making of the record stuff. And you know, then we kind of coordinated so that they both come with a zine. It's gonna be, you know.
Yeah, that's cool, because both their Die Hard is different than ours. Like for ours, it's gonna be it's gonna be a 3-foot by 5-foot banner inside there, and then we're gonna do another zine too. It's a 12-page zine, just a bunch of flyers and photographs and shit. And then we're also including a CD that has an alternate mix of the songs, and then also some rehearsal demo stuff. So you hear it do a bit different. So I don't know. For me, as a fucking music nerd, I'd want to buy both of them, because I just like that kind of shit.
And you guys are doing it. Whoever's listening to this show before it happens, it's going to be on the 15th. And you guys, after that, are you guys going to have the leftover copies on Bandcamp and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know, depending, because we got shows coming up, so might have to be getting some more from you, fucking Oppressor.
Yeah. And at this point, I think the goal is, we've talked about it, like we want to do like an immediate repress. So that's the hope, is that like if you know, we sell as many as we think we will, like that's just going to be immediately going into a repress, because I mean, you know, once you know, Gems is going to have his copies, then each band has copies, and then we sent some copies to Hell's Headbangers. I'm going to send some to Nuclear War Now, and a couple of distros. So, you know, just like, I don't know, there's really not a lot to go around from that side of things, especially with Die Hard Edition stuff that we're doing, because we're not doing a ton. But yeah, it's going to be, I think, hopefully a real quick repress. We don't want it to go out of print. We don't want it to be scarce or be going for crazy money on Discogs or anything. We want to keep it in press, you know?
Yeah, that's how that works too. So Rhevok, man, you were mentioning shows. You guys have, I saw you guys put up Cruel Summer 2026 dates. 8 dates so far, correct? I believe it is. New York, New Jersey, Texas, and obviously the Dead by Dog, which I believe both of you guys are playing. But yeah. So Rhevok, what do you guys got planned so far for this spring, summer?
Well, this for this month, we got Memorial Day weekend. We're playing here in Houston with Oxygen Destroyer, Drawn and Quartered, Spectral Manifest, and others. This should be a pretty good death metal show. It's on a Sunday this Memorial Day weekend, so you cocksuckers can't say, I gotta go to work tomorrow. You should be fucking off. But then as far as the actual Northeast shows with Lord Humongous, we've got Thursday, June 11th, Panthers Club in New Bedford, Massachusetts, which looks to be pretty interesting. I think there's a lot of young motherfuckers go to that club and go to shows there. So that's Massachusetts. And then that Friday, June the 12th, we're playing in New York. It was originally in Queens, New York at Bunker del Diablo, but I guess the motherfucker got flooded, so it got moved to Brooklyn. We're playing at a place called the Attic or some shit like that. Then Saturday, June 13th, we were supposed to play in Pennsylvania, but I don't know what the fuck. We're just having all these issues trying to get a venue, and then I had somebody possibly getting one in Maryland. I don't know. So we may be fucking thumbs up our ass on Saturday, June 13th. But then on the 14th, we got that New Jersey matinee show, Mancore Lounge, Patterson, New Jersey. So that should be interesting. And we've got some other shows that are going to lead up to Hell's Homeboy show on, what is that, August the 1st, Cleveland, Ohio.
Music, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Hell Zero. I mean, it's hell something.
And for that show, there's a distinct possibility. I know our plan is to play our thing for our side from start to finish, because we'll have Rhevok there so he can get up and sing with us on, and then there were none, and King Demogorgon from Sardonic Witchery will be there, so we can get him to do his part. So it's probably the only time ever you could see that whole side, like played in its entirety. So we're excited about that. And Denial of God is fucking crazy.
Denial of God. Yeah, it's and
you know what? I have to heckle the homeboy because somebody told me he did a video the other day, and somebody asked him, that J-Dog asked him if he heard of Agnostic Front. Oh, I've heard of the band, but never heard of my motherfucker. Never heard Agnostic Front, so we're gonna fucking victim in pain that night. That you fucking bitch! This is Agnostic Front, motherfucker.
Yeah, Dog didn't know who he knew Au Noir, but I was like, yo, what do you think about, because I like to get, whenever I'm around him, when we end up at a few shows together, I'm like, what do you think about this band? What do you think about it? And he goes, yeah, I never listened to Au Noir. Like, I'm not into the French stuff. And I was like, no, dude, it's black thrash. And so he wouldn't listen to it. So I sent him a copy, and he was like, yo, that was good. I was like, yeah. I feel like he's just down to, he likes talking about, I know he says he doesn't, right? I know he's like, I'm fucking sick of talking about metal. But I was curious about his thoughts on Immortal, because I'm a huge Immortal fan. Every record. And I got him talking about that, and I was like, I wish we could record this, because we went through the whole discography. He knows all the fucking tracks. We both agreed that fucking Damned in Black is way, way high up on their best records, and I know that's a fucking really controversial opinion, but it's in there. Like, he's got an encyclopedic knowledge of stuff. So he'd probably be amazing on that, man. It's great.
Even the bands we talked about here, everybody loves that label. I mean, it's run by fans. I mean, that's those guys, and you can't beat it, man. I give him credit, man. Every day he's on there. I mean, I watch once in a while, but when I watch him, it's entertaining, But he's making money too. The fucker's like making all this money. I mean, it's crazy, dude. I'm like, people are tipping him.
I sent him a video of our record when we got it, and I was like, yo, check it out. And he goes, fuck yeah, I need 30. Like, run off the bat. And I was like, okay, good. That takes care of it.
Oppressor, what do you guys have besides the Dead by Dog show? What do you guys have lined up for the summer?
We have those shows with Mordant Rhed. We also have 2 weeks from now, 5/22 to 5/24. We're going to be in like southern West Virginia, then Morgantown, West Virginia, here at our home club, like the club nearest me, Pleasant Street, and then Westside Bowl in Youngstown. And all of those are with Wolfenstein and Pentecost. And then a band from Pittsburgh, a cool like crossover thrash band called Septic Idols is jumping on, and Septic Womb is jumping on one show. So all fucking cool bands, and Wolfenstein, Pentecost, Septic Idols are bands for me where I'm like, man, if I had a record label, I would put out records from all of those bands because they're just killer. Wolfenstein sounds like the first Sodom record in the best way possible. Pentecost is like, if you live in southern West Virginia and you start a black metal band, like it's going to be like snake skin boots and corpse paint, and it's like the most authentic version of that. Like, you know what I mean? It's like snake handler shit.
Yeah.
They're not trying to be like Norwegian black metal. It's like, it doesn't sound southern by any means, but it's like they put those influences out there. Like, it's like a dude with fucking corpse paint and a steel chainsaw hat, like STHL, and you're just like, this is the most real thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
It's
Cool. What?
so crazy.
Oh, actually, I forgot. We have 2 other shows we're doing. I almost forgot. These motherfuckers are gonna say he didn't announce this in Friday, July 17th, and Saturday, July 18th. We're doing a 2-show run and starting in Houston and then one in San Antonio with the San Antonio black metal band called Thruxus Mortis, which is a really good fucking black metal band. They all, of course, get all done up with corpse and spikes and all that shit. So we're playing 2 shows with them. July 17th, Friday, and then July 18th. So Houston and San Antonio. I know if I didn't mention that, there's a message me. Why the fuck didn't you mention those shows? But yeah, that's coming up too. We're playing with them and Lethal Agent, another good local Houston death metal band, and yeah, so those are coming up too.
Nice, man. And anybody who's looking for stuff, where would you guys send anybody who's looking at for anything Mordant Rhed or then and Lord Humongous merch?
For us, is everything's gonna be on Bandcamp, and I'm sure that for both of us, the respected diehard editions are gonna be on our respected camp. So the day out on Friday, all 3 outlets are gonna be open. So it's just whoever you want to buy it from, whoever's pretty and you want to buy it from, whatever. As long as it gets moving, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Same thing for you guys, Oppressor?
Yeah, I think right now Bandcamp, and we can make it happen. We've been taking a page out of the Nunslaughter book and doing lots of trades with a lot of distros and bands for a while. So we're hoping to have our new web shop open, which is actually going to be a distro. So it's going to be our stuff and like so much other stuff that we've acquired through trading Lord Humongous stuff. And that was a J-Dog suggestion. He goes, hey, back in the day, like Nunslaughter, they kind of like built the way they got their shit everywhere was they traded bands and labels and distros. And I was like, yeah, we can do that, but we should do like that and like have a web shop. So, because we're, really for both of our bands, I'm sure it's the same thing. Like I just want our stuff to be accessible to people everywhere and in as many distros as possible. I don't care if people bootleg our shirts. I would love to go to like a Maryland Death Fest and see bootleg Lord Humongous shit. Fuck yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
So it's just about like getting it anywhere we can. So yeah, man, that's the plan. So
You guys have a name you guys are going to use for the distro, or you guys haven't confirmed it yet?
it's a Abraxas Shroud.
Okay.
Abrasax Shroud. Yeah. And if you look in our first record, we put the logo for that distro in there, and it's been around forever. We knew we were going to do it. We just didn't know when. But going all the way back to our first release, the logo's in there, and we just took a while, but
It's good stuff. You see right there again why we wanted to split with them, because they're fucking movers and shakers. They're not sitting around waiting for somebody to come help them. They're like, hey, let's go make this fucking happen. That's where the kind of people I want to be around, not some motherfuckers that do something and cry, oh man, why does nobody like my shit? No, because you got to get out and do something. And that's why. I mean, they are perfect. A good band. They're reliable. They play shows and they're out there doing shit. And that's the kind of people we want to be associated with.
The bands, I think these days you guys will probably agree, it's I mean, I know, bands don't even make flyers anymore. They pretty much rely everything on, Facebook, I guess Facebook or whatever else. There's Instagram now and stuff.
Well, it is. I mean, our shows in Houston, I know that they make flyers, and I know the shows we're doing with Lord Humongous, the motherfuckers better be making flyers for that. Which I'm pretty sure they are, because the guy we're playing with Jersey Devil and the band Sin, both black metal bands from New Jersey, and those guys are all old school guys too. And the guy that really put all this together was Joe from Jersey Devil, and he knows what the fuck he's doing. So I guarantee he's doing flyers and all that stuff. He's an older guy too.
I always appreciate the flyers and stuff, man, still to this day. But and everybody who's listening, we lost Ed. So Ed has had a rough run. He missed the Scott Burns interview, and we lost him halfway through this one. So I don't know if he's going to return. So Rhevok, man, we're gonna let you guys get out of here. And we are gonna play a track on the way out. We're gonna play some Mordant Rhed from the split. We're gonna play Nihilist Existence. What can you tell us about this track?
That song's definitely more hardcore sounding, and that's a little bit of a different lyrical approach. It's more it's not necessarily political, but it's more about this the whole bullshit of how people are being controlled with this social media, and no matter what you look at on your phone, how the algorithm controls. Like, for example, if you have a certain way of thinking and you watch certain videos, the algorithm automatically keeps showing you that same shit, and it keeps reinforcing, oh, well, then I'm right. I must be right. And you never even think about anything else, and gives people a very one track way of thinking. So that song is definitely along those lines. Again, if you notice that you look on Instagram and you click on one video of a fist fight at a stupid ass football game, and then your whole train is flooded of that bullshit. You imagine somebody clicking on either political videos or religious videos, and then the algorithm keeps showing all that same shit to say, well, I must be right. Well, and makes people not even think and question anything. So that's kind of what that song, in a way, it's metaphoric, but it still kind of covers that kind of shit like that.
Okay, man. Yeah, and Ed, we're glad you're back. We did mention during the show that we lost you. You got some storms
Yeah.
going on over there in Tampa.
Dude, I feel like I'm back in Europe with the shitty internet again, dude. I mean, I could hear it,
I hear
and I
it.
knew
I can
yeah, I heard yeah, it's brutal, dude. I mean, it hit so hard, and then all of a sudden, I saw trying to reconnect, and then I was gone. And then no matter what I tried, I had to change my fucking clothes, dude. It was so
God.
brutal running to the house, dude. And I'm pretty close where my shed is, and it let up enough for me to come out here, and it's literally monsooning again.
And I'll never forget Ed, the hurricane. Ed sat through. We had Tony
Yeah, oh
Dolan on
god,
here, and Ed was
yeah,
sitting through a hurricane during that. It was nasty out.
yeah,
You
man,
know,
yeah. But we
uh,
did it. Now,
yeah,
how
we
many
did
people
it. We
can say
got
they
it
did a
done.
podcast in a hurricane? I can.
Yes, we did. But yeah, so Rhevok, again, we appreciate you hanging out, man. You're always welcome. Like I said, man, you're kind of like a regular on here. So, we always expect you every few months to pop on. You're catching up to Count Duvall. So, you got just anything you want to say here, Rhevok, on the way out.
Last one, man. I just want to say I appreciate all the support. I feel very fortunate to have even been on here this many times, and it's just always a good time. And it's funny, even listening when just in here talking with you two, hearing your voices. I'm so used to hearing it when I'm driving my car. I feel like I'm bullshitting with you. So it's just like a daily thing for me. So yeah, it's cool, man. Really appreciate it. And it's just one of those things. I try to help support you, podcast you across my platform. It just goes back and forth to supporting each other. So it's very much appreciated, man.
We always appreciate you, man. You're always welcome. You know that. Okay, and Oppressor, anything you want to say on the way out of here?
Yeah, man, I want to say, if you are false, do not entry, or you will be burned and died.
There you go, man. And we appreciate you again for hanging out tonight, dude. And you're always welcome back on the show.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Definitely, man. This is Mordant Rhed with Nihilist Existence from the Bonded by the Bomb split. That's out Friday via, what is it again now? MordantRhed.com, or where are you sending them to?
It's at the Mordant Rhed Bandcamp page.
There you
The
go.
Bandcamp Mordant, or as the homeboy says it, Mordant Rhed.
Yeah, we appreciate you again, man. Everybody else, this is Mordant Rhed with Nihilist Existence, and we'll be back on the Tampa Morgue after this.
Demons, no chance to heal.
And that was Mordant Rhed with Nihilist Existence from the upcoming split Bonded by the Bomb, the split between Lord Humongous and Mordant Rhed. And again, I want to thank Rhevok and Oppressor for hanging out with us tonight on the Morgue. Good time, man. Chill show. Always appreciate that. And Ed, episode 138 in the books.
Yep, and it couldn't go one fucking episode, even coming back without having fucking internet problems.
We lost Ed
Well, I
again
mean, I
for a
will
little
tell
bit.
you, that storm came in hard and fast. I mean, I told you before we started recording, I said, dude, there's a storm coming. I listen to Dennis Phillips, man, and when the demand in suspenders tells you it's coming, you know it's coming. But
Yeah, anybody who
boy,
lives in Florida, everybody knows Dennis Phillips. Like, when Dennis Phillips looks worried, you're fucked.
what's rule number 7? If I'm not worried, you're not worried. That's what it fucking, so.
And that's how
But
you knew that, 2 years ago, we were talking about this with Rhevok, actually.
Yep,
Ed did a
yeah.
podcast through a hurricane. And
Yep.
so we did the Tony Dolan Venom Inc. episode. And I remember, because I was over in Eastern Europe at this time, and I thought I got away with, the storm came through, fucked up a bunch of shit. And I live in a second story, I don't live in, I have a second story condo in St. Petersburg, Florida, right outside of Tampa. And everyone downstairs got fucked up. Flooding, they closed down the sewers, the city, which was totally fucking ridiculous. They'd never done that before. St. Petersburg closed down the sewers and everything backed up.
Yep.
And basically, like,
Caused
everyone's
massive
downstairs
damage.
units. Yeah, dude, it fucked up everybody's units, the lower units of the condos and stuff. I was okay. Thought I was okay, but no, I had thousands and thousands of dollars worth of damage because I had to pay. I'm part of a HOA, which is a fucking joke. Anybody who has a HOA knows what it is, and it sucks. And had to pay thousands of dollars worth of damage. That was a couple years ago. But Ed was broadcasting during the hurricane, and for some reason, Ed, I don't even think you lost power, if I remember correctly.
At the end, right at the end, right when we signed off, I dropped out, and yeah, it was crazy because I didn't even, for a while, we didn't have power. Remember, like, we had no power for days, and then we got the power back, and as soon as we finished, the power went out, and I was, like, gone for another couple days. So
Yes,
it was
yes.
like we skated by the but I learned valuable lessons, generators and having stuff and being prepared. And now, I have grills and all kinds of shit. So if anything goes wrong again, plus my water's heated by gas. So even though we had no power, we still had hot showers. So
Yes,
we're getting a stove. That's everything's going to be controlled by gas or generator. So I'll never have that issue again. But yeah, it's that was a crazy time. But this storm, I mean, I heard it and I saw the thing at the top. If you've been on the show, you know what it looks like. But when it says at the top, trying to reconnect, I know that's an internet issue. And then you guys all froze up, and then you came back, and then it went to the screen that says you're fucked, which means you got cut off. And I tried for 5 minutes to sign on and realized, and when I opened my shed door, dude, it was just a monsoon, dude. It was black. And this, when did we start that? At 4 PM my time. And when you walk outside and it's fucking dark, like, you're in a bad place, man. I barely made it to the house. I got soaked, and I was like, fuck, man. But we got a good chunk of it done before I dropped. So, I'm not, it's not like missing the Scott Burns, because that one I didn't get to do any. Zero, none.
Yeah,
Like,
that's gonna haunt you
none.
probably till the end of the
It's-
podcast.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to have you replace me, because I don't know if I'm gonna live through that.
Yeah, that was one that I knew when it was going on. I was like, Ed's gonna this is gonna be one that's kinda, like
we
being on a
learned-
team and watching win a championship while you're fucking sidelined
Sitting
watching
there,
at
even though
home.
you got a ring, you fucking you blew it.
You blew it.
But I look at it like this: we know what happens if you pop on in the middle of something. We know that there could be echo, it could ruin the
Craziness.
episode. And I decided to, when it finally cooled down, I was like, you know what? I don't want to take that chance, because I'm not going to be on my setup. I'm going to be on Bluetooth, because we were driving in the bus, and I just decided, you know what? I guess I'm not going to make it.
Yeah, it was, and I hate to say it, but who knows? Like Ed said, we've had, we've kind of with people that don't know how we do it. If someone does jump on late, you just never know how the audio is going to work, and then we fix it somehow. We've mangled some fucked up tape out, but it's just more of a pain in the ass than it's worth. So but it was, that's one thing I do want to mention too, Ed, that I wanted to mention earlier in the show, and I'll mention the next show. Ed heard about this when he was in Europe. I just saw the band actually play. I think it was January at the prison in Vilnius with Luke Dis. They played, but anybody who knows Barth from the House of the Holy, obviously he played with Belphegor. He played on the 2003 Lucifer and Cestus record, the Flesh Cult 2005 record, and the 2006 Pest Apocalypse record. Also played with Arscodia, but he passed away tragically this week. So I did want to mention that in the beginning of the show, but I'll mention that a little bit more next episode. Sucks, I actually, like I said, I saw them play. I saw Barth perform in Vilnius right before I headed out to Tampa. He was a big part of a lot of things. Anybody who's played the House of the Holy, they have nothing but great things to say about it. So, yeah, definitely wanted to mention him. And again, we'll talk more about him next week. But, man, I say we get out of here. It's been a long week. You're recovering a
Long
bit from
month.
midget wrestling and touring.
Long
So,
month.
Ed
Yep.
was undefeated last night too, by the way, in the midget matches.
I took the fucking belt. Actually, Mario took the belt. The only guy that wasn't wearing a luchador mask. Dude was a little dude with a beard. Came out as Mario to fucking the Mario music, dude. It was the funniest thing. Dude, I can't explain it to you. You have to go watch it on video, but it is absolute, and it's dirty. It's filthy. Like the guy was talking like the music they're playing is like filthy fucking music. It's not for children. It's not for children. You would think, oh, it's midget wrestling. It'll be cool. No, it's not for children. It was very entertaining. I will say that. So,
Wow.
yep,
Yeah.
there goes.
So
That's it. So I'll leave it at that.
maybe we'll have some midget guests eventually.
Maybe my wife asked, why don't we get them on? I'm like, we don't do wrestling. Like
I'd finally be the tallest person on the show. Work out. Yeah, but everybody, we appreciate you listening. Ed, you have anything else? You ready to
I need to recover, dude. When I wake up, I'm still fucking like when I wake up and to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, dude, I'm like my equilibrium is so off because I feel like I'm still walking on I can't explain to you that this narrow alley I had to walk down between the bunks to go to the bathroom, and then you have to go down. I showed you on video,
yeah,
what it looked like, and you were like trying to navigate these spiral, kind of go down, and then go to the left stairs to go down, while this dude's fucking taking you on a fucking journey into, I felt like I was in the Wizard of Oz with the fucking house spinning in the tornado. It's like, and you're tired and you're trying to navigate the stairs, and then you're in the bathroom and the toilet seat keeps falling. And it was just a nightmare, dude. It was like, but my brain, like I woke up last night and dude, I felt like I was like, I couldn't find my footing because I'm still feeling like I'm on moving.
It's like hopping off one of those roller coasters or the fucking
kind of like people say when they get off a cruise sometimes the first couple days, because the boat moves so much that you're used to moving. Like I'm really worried because I felt like I was really jet lagged yesterday, or the day before. It's the day after I got home. I was really freaking jet lagged, and I started my equilibrium, and I'm like, man, this shit needs to go away. But yeah, I'm ready to just be back to normal so we can do this shit. And, here I have to fly out again next week and the week after. Then I got a week. I'm in Orlando and I'm not talking to anybody or anything. I'm shutting the phone off and I'm fucking just decompressing.
Yeah, well, and you just mentioned cruises, man, and we will give everyone advice. When you go on 70,000 tons of metal, just make sure you don't lock your keys in your fucking trunk. As you line up to leave the boat early, we're like, what, number 5 or 6 in the line to leave? And then as you stand at your vehicle and watch every car that was on the boat pass you by because you've locked your keys in the car. Yeah, me and Ed will have that story maybe next episode, but it was not fun, but I don't know, locksmith time, but yeah.
Yep.
Ed, let's get the hell out of here, everybody. Thanks for listening. Again, you can always contact us at thetampamorgue@gmail.com. And Ed, where can they find us?
Apple, Spotify, anywhere there's podcast, YouTube, thetampamorgue@gmail.com for if you want to send us killer letters like Dan did, and Instagram, definitely follow that because that is up to date and consistent, very consistent. Facebook sucks. And yeah, that's where you can find us.
And if we're not consistent on Instagram, it's because we're probably recording episodes. That's usually how it works
That's
that week.
it for,
So,
or that.
you
Yeah.
know.
But you're
Yeah.
still consistent.
Yeah. But everybody have a good week, man. We'll see you next week. Thanks again for hanging out, Rhevok and Mr. Oppressor. Split coming out again Friday, the May 15th. For anybody who's listening afterwards, Bonded by the Bomb. Split between Mordant Rhed and Lord Humongous. And we'll see you guys next week. Peace.
See ya.
This is King Fally from Deceased, and you just listened to another episode of the Tampa Morgue. Tune in next week and stay fucking dead.